if you and I, John, we go kill somebody and you come up to me or I come up to you, whether it be a month, a year, 10 years later, and I give you any inkling to talk about that murder, you're supposed to look at me, either I'm wearing a wire or I'm cooperating. That's the first thing I was taught by the Genovese. It's easy to take a thug and make him a businessman, but you can never make a businessman a thug. They just don't have it in them.
What's up, everybody? I am so excited to bring you today's guest, Dominick Cicale. He was a captain of the Bonanno Crime Family in the Bronx. He is the first made man we have ever had on the Connect. He was the real deal. At one point, he had 27 Mafia soldiers under his command in New York City. He gave us some wild stories about being a wise guy in federal prison, and he even told us about an active contract that's still out on his head. And then he told us about what he's doing now. He's a legitimate millionaire, great businessman. He's got a book out called The Perfect Crime Family by Dominick Cicale. Go check that out. Link in the description. He's got a vodka line, EG Vodka. And of course, we've got a bonus episode with him over at Patreon, patreon.com/TheConnectShow. Look, I could go on, but you guys are going to love it. So let's just get into it. Without further ado, Dominick Cicale, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
They met in Greenpoint, Brooklyn at the meeting spot. When he got out of the car, he said, all right, Ace, where do we have to go? And Ace just pushed him and fired some shots into his chest. And then they came down, they arrested me. Ace went on the run. They wound up arresting Ace. They had the death penalty on me.
That's when I see the lights behind me start to flash. And I didn't even think, I just hit it. I was driving like my life depended on it. And then I parked the car, hopped out, closed the door, and I started running.
And he pulls out a burner, shank, it's like 6 inches. And then he passes it to me. And he goes, here, that's yours. Don't ever leave the cell block without this. He was the reason I made it out of that place alive.
So this is a special podcast. I'm really excited that you came out here because...
No, I'm excited you accepted me, to be honest.
Oh,
really?
I mean,
I'm really.
Well, I appreciate that, but the pleasure's ours. And, you know, you had reached out to me. I think the first thing you said, because I get people that reach out trying to be on the show all the time. I think the first thing you said was, hey, if you want to know what the mob is really like, you should have me on your show. Now, you know, we've had some knockaround guys on here, right?
Gene was one of them.
Yeah, Gene was great, right?
The maniac,
like psychopath. You know, we need to like change locations.
No,
after having him over, right? But you know, we had Anthony on, right? He was definitely, you know, Mafia tied dynasty with the Gambino family. But you're the first made man. The first formally made man, straightened out.
So I'm the first capo then on.
Capo. So, I mean, this is very unique. What is it? I mean, what is it about everybody else and then the people that actually get made in the Mafia? What is the distinction? And what is the benefit? What was the benefit to being a captain with the Bananos?
Oh, listen, the benefit about being a captain, period, not only the Bananos, any organized crime family, is the prestige. Because you're above everybody in organized crime. You're one of the top. Basically, Michael Fanchase said it best. And at first, when he said it and I heard the words, I'm like, what's this guy talking about? Because he actually looked at himself as being a boss. And I'm like, he wasn't a boss. Because he was a captain just the way I was. And then when he explained it, he's correct. We're running guys. We have made guys under us. So we are their boss. So you can. And the only superiors with us would be the consigliere, underboss, and boss. So we are running our crews. And I was fortunate enough. And Vinnie got caught on tape saying this. Look at Dominick. It's easy to take a thug and make him a businessman, but you can never make a businessman a thug. They just don't have it in them.
Right.
Somebody who is an earner, like Michael, nice guy. Is he capable? Anybody's capable to pull a trigger. Anybody, yourself included. Doesn't take much.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy, especially if you know your life's in jeopardy. You're gonna, it's self-preservation. But to have it instinctively in you, to be in the streets, to be violent, it comes, I guess, it's born into you. It's bred into you. You have to have it.
Did you have that?
I've had it. It was just in me growing up. I mean, always looking to fight. Yeah. And it's funny because I recall when I was about 7 years old, I moved into a building, my grandparents, my mother, and the first day I went downstairs, I came upstairs crying. I got punched in the nose. You know, I was a new kid. There were around 20, 30 young kids around the building. Came upstairs crying. My grandmother cleaned me up. Get out of the house. Go back downstairs.
That's right.
And I didn't want to go downstairs. She goes, get out. And she was the Sicilian one. Sent me back downstairs, and I was afraid to fight until I had my first fight. And I kicked the shit out of the kid. I was like, oh, okay. This is fun.
Feels good.
And then after that, it's just one thing led to another. And
well, that's also environment too. You know, you're from a different time.
I came from a middle class neighborhood. Out of my neighborhood in the Bronx, it's in the Pelham Bay section of the Bronx. I would say out of 30, 40 kids that I grew up with, maybe 3 of us went bad, 4 of us tops. So everybody, you know, who worked for the sanitation company, who went to the union for carpentry, everybody had jobs. Everybody was well educated, went to high school, college. I just veered off. I like that fast money. I from selling firecrackers at the age of 10, 11 years old and doubling my money and getting money. And I was like, I was always hustling. Yeah. And, you know, always hustling, making a buck.
So immediately I
got gravitated to cash. That. And I wanted the best things in life. I wanted to shine where I had a new pair of sneakers or jeans, that I had money in my pocket. I could buy my pizza when somebody else couldn't, and I could buy it for them. I just found that as my motivation to be successful.
Did you have family in the life?
I had family. They were around the life. They would never, nobody was ever made in my family.
Right.
I was the first made member. My father was around the Lucchese's. He was a drug dealer. My uncle Peter was also around the Lucchese's. He was a drug dealer, but neither one of them were ever straightened out.
So especially during the height of the mob, right? We'll call it till the end of the 80s, right? The end of the fall of John Gotti. Right. It was really hard to become made, because all the money that comes off the street from associates, whether they're, cracking safes or selling heroin or, running like a sports book, it seems like most of those guys weren't made. They were just kicking up to a family for protection and clout. So to become a captain, you really had to have not only be a gangster, but have an enormous ability, a skill set to manage a company. Your company was soldiers.
Right.
And all your rackets.
And it was funny because, like I said, I was released from prison. I finished up my term in December of 1999 with the halfway house, everything. In February of 2000, I was on a hit to kill Frank Santoro with Vinnie. Wow. Immediately after. So, like, I was out, I did what I had to do, and that was it. And then Vinnie also saw I was very aggressive to make money, from fake checks to just anything in the street. And there was maybe 15, 20 different things I threw at him. No. Finally, he said yes. And just the money I started making, he couldn't believe it. He said, you're like a generator. Whatever I give you, like, because he was pushing things. Once he saw what I was capable of doing and how creative I was and my drive to be successful, he would push things my way. Yeah. That's why at the end of the day, when he was running the Bonanno Crime Family, I had about 26, 27 made members in my crew. That's unheard of. Usually 10, 15 tops. Wow. Tops. And I had about 27 made members under me. They gave me everybody.
Wow.
I had shooters, I had a group of shooters, and then a group of earners. And with those earners, one of those guys was the guy Perry. He has Mulberry Street. He ran the San Gennaro Feast, and 1 year Giuliani gave him the key to the city, not knowing he was a made member of the Bonanno Crime Family.
Wow.
He had 5 successful restaurants on Mulberry Street. So what do? Before I got locked up, I was opening up a restaurant on Mulberry Street. Perry, can you help me with the restaurant? What's he going to tell me? I'm his captain. No.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, Dom. So if I don't get arrested, the restaurant I had on Mulberry Street would have been successful because I would have followed his formula. Everything in life is a formula. Once you figure out the formula that you're targeting, the area, whether it be construction, whether it be a vodka company, once you get that formula down pat that works, restaurants, it's a successful formula. It'll work if you apply it.
Okay, so let's talk about Mafia racket formulas. Restaurants. How does a soldier, a made guy, in Little Italy, you could see it's, by the 90s, it was already teeming with tourists. There's tons of people down there. How does the mob make money out of restaurants?
Restaurants having good quality food, but it's legit.
Okay.
Listen, there's people that I call them buffoons in the life. Why are you going to be short-sighted? And here's for instance, the Penthouse, it was a strip club in Manhattan. They were around me. I made sure nobody went in there. Nobody shook them down. And like, Dom, do you want anything? No. Here's what I do want. When you walked into that club, you would have to, there's a dress code. You have to be dressed up. I says, if I have they wouldn't let anybody wear a baseball cap in there. If I come in, I have a baseball cap on. If I have sweat clothes on, you're going to let me in. Okay. You see a VIP table over there? I don't care who's there. I'll call ahead of time. I want that table. Okay. And third, I pay all my bills. They looked at me. I pay my bills. And that's what I did. I didn't want any money from them. And the reason why I conducted myself, I look at the bigger picture. I'm in the construction business. Every Thursday night we would go out, 20, 30 guys, bankers, investors, guys in the industry. 9 times out of 10, let's go to a strip club. If you have guys after dinner, they have a few drinks, they're regular people. Yeah. Okay, make a phone call, I'm coming over. Now I walk into the club, I'm treated like it's my place. Yeah. Right off the bat, I get $2,000-3,000 in funny money, put it on the table, get the bottles on the table. The guys are having a blast. Now my investor's impressed. He thinks he's under the impression that I own a piece of the place, the way I'm treated. So at the end of the night, here's a check for $750,000 for this project. Here's a check for $500,000 for this project. And following day, I would go to Vinnie. Here, we have money. We're buying the property. It's done. How'd you do it? Don't worry about it.
Networking. Yeah.
And then there's some times in the beginning, because they had a restaurant called Roberto's. All of a sudden, one of the first times I'm looking at my Amex bill, $38,000 Roberto's. I'm like, oh, hell no. Somebody had my card. So I'm calling up Amex. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shoot. Roberto's was the strip club. But I would be picking up tabs that big. Wow. So now I had the respect of the club. And I get the respect from the people on the street. So I looked at it on a long-term basis than short-term.
Okay. So if my question, I guess, is if and when the mob guys own legitimate businesses, did you try to keep them completely clean, or was there some kind of racket involved, whether it was like, hey, you're going to be buying the dough from my cousin's company, for pizza. Right. And you're going to be using my linen company. Like, how did that, or did you just run it like a completely legitimate operation and then have your illegal stuff separate?
Whenever I had a legitimate business, I ran it legit. Okay. Now, if you came to me, if I have a restaurant, you say, Dom, I have a linen company. Could you use my linen company? I would tell you, Johnny, listen, as long as the quality is good, they're on point, I'll use your company. And because you want to work together, because now I might need something from you where we cross work with each other. That's what's nice with the Mafia. Everybody will work with each other. Now, to answer your part two of the question, I didn't do anything illegal out of my legitimate companies. You have a lot of guys that have restaurants. They might take numbers. They might have a sports betting operation, which they'll do in the back because they know their waiters. They know the cooks. And then you have some knuckleheads too. They might even be selling weed out of there, knowing cooks, waiters. That's what they do. They party. And I've always separated legal and illegal. I would never mix it.
Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop open at the coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. Most of the time, you're probably fine, but do you really want to take that chance? Everyone needs a VPN to keep your information safe online. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, coffee shops, hotels, airports, a hacker can gain access to your personal data. It doesn't take that much technical knowledge now to hack someone. Just some cheap hardware and a smart 12-year-old kid could do it, that's for sure. ExpressVPN creates an encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so hackers can't steal your sensitive data. Fire up the app and click one button to get protected. It's that easy. ExpressVPN works on phones, laptops, tablets, and routers. I use ExpressVPN because I know it's going to keep my data secure wherever I am. It's one of the last ways in this completely digitized Big Brother surveillance world to actually keep yourself hidden and anonymous. And that's important to me. It's important to everybody that believes in privacy. So secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/connectpod, and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's right. That's expressvpn.com/connectpod. expressvpn.com/connectpod. Support the show and secure your online data today. All right, where were we?
When you were at your height with the Bananos, what do you think your percentage of legit business to illegal was?
I would say 85% was legal. Wow. 15 was illegal. The only thing at my height, the only thing illegal was the sports betting operation we had. And football season, we had one customer would bet anywhere from $5 to $7 million on a week.
Wow.
In 1 week.
Who was that?
I don't know. It came through the guy running it. But I was partners. Vinnie and I were partners with Jerry Asaro.
Okay.
And Jack Bonaventuro, who was his acting captain. And then the guy Lenny, who had all the customers. He also had 120 customers as well as that one big whale.
Wow.
And it averaged out. Some weeks he would win maybe 300,000-400,000, but there's some weeks he lost 700,000-800,000.
Yeah.
You know,
the house
even
is
though
up.
Even though he's betting 5 to 7 million, he never lost 5 to 7 million. I think the most he ever lost in one weekend was about maybe 750,000-800,000.
But still, this is bringing in tens of millions a year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's bringing in some big money.
Enormous.
But my Achilles tendon with that was Vinnie, because Vinnie's a degenerate gambler.
Remind us who Vinnie is.
Vinnie Basciano, they call him Vinnie Gorgeous, was his stigma out there. He hated that moniker, Vinnie Gorgeous. He would correct people, Vinnie from the Bronx or Vinnie B. He was the acting boss of the Bonanno Crime Family. He became. I was his protege. He mentored me. He helped polish me to take the roughness off the edges. But he was a degenerate gambler. Okay. So, and I would have to ride with him because I felt, if I'm not with him and he loses, he's still going to come for me for the money he's taken out of my half. But if he wins, I'm not going to receive anything. So I said, Vinnie, whatever you bet, we'll go partners. Because I was in a no-lose situation. I was in a no-win situation either way. So I figured.
This wasn't the Vinnie that was part of the Lufthansa heist?
No.
Okay, that was Vinnie from the Lucchese's, I believe.
No, that was Who was part of there? There was
He just beat a case a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
He
that
beat
was
this
Vinnie
impossible.
Asaro.
Okay, that was Vinnie Asaro. And now that guy is crazy.
That guy was crazy. At the time that I was out there, he was shelved. I never met him as a friend. He was shelved. His son, Jerry Asaro, had the power. He was a captain.
Okay.
Great guy. Great man.
Okay.
Till this day, I like Jerry. Jerry was straight up, calm. The father was just a loose cannon. And I never agreed with that. I was taught when I was groomed into life, it's not who yells the loudest that counts. It's the guy who keeps his mouth shut and does what he has to do.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's go back to the Bronx. What era did you come up in? Are you an 80s guy? Like when did you like really start
I would say 80s.
Okay.
I was around the Genovese crime family.
Okay.
Big Ernie. And I'm not going to go into that just out of respect for him. But he's up there in the ranks in the Genovese. And he groomed me as far as how I should act. Always be cautious. Look your surroundings. Taught me how to fight, box, really fight well. And he is a force to be reckoned with. A great guy. Love him till this day. And I always said that I would never talk about him while he's alive or really go into details.
But the Genovese family, I've heard, just learned from talking to guys like Gene, they're the sharpest, most low-key, best earning family of the 5 mafia families.
Well, right now they're the elite.
Yeah.
They're the elite. They're intact. The other mafia families got crippled. And actually, it was caught on tape. The Genovese family, their high-ups were talking back in 2000. There was a conversation. They were complimenting the Bonanno crime family because up until 2002, we never had a made member that ratted.
Wow.
We were the only family that could say that.
Yeah.
And they said the Bananos have their act together. And Joe Messino, who was the official boss of the Bonanno crime family for many years, he was involved in the movie Donnie Brasco Killed the 3 Captains. He brought us from that Donnie Brasco. We were off the commission because Joe Pistone infiltrated the family. And
you guys are robbing you're like robbing quarters from the parking meters.
Well, that's what they said in the movie. I guess that's Hollywood. But with that, we were basically at the bottom of the totem pole, and he brought our family back to prominence. And it's funny, he brought us to the pinnacle of the top, where we were up there with the Genovese, and he destroyed it by wearing a wire. Wow. First boss in history, official boss, long time. He was dubbed the last Don, and he wore a wire on Vinnie Basciano. And Vinny's telling him they're in jail together. And Vinny tells him, Joe is reading the paper. Guy Randy Pizzola got killed. And he looks over to Vinny. Who did this? Vinny said, Dominick did it. Dominick took him out. And I'm like, Vinny, are you out of your mind? Like, when I heard the tapes, I'm like, that's how they arrested me. I got away with all the murders. It's Vinny spoke about the 2 homicides I was involved with Vinny. His mouth is what got us caught.
Wow.
If Vinny never tells Joe anything about the murders, Vinny nor myself ever get arrested.
Yeah, I mean the same is true for so many crime figures. John Gotti just blabbing.
And you know what? That's 101 for dummies. That's the first thing I was taught by the Genovese. You get away with a murder, never happened. If you and I, John, we go kill somebody, and you come up to me or I come up to you, whether it be a month, a year, 10 years later, and I give you any inkling to talk about that murder, you're supposed to look at me, either I'm wearing a wire or I'm cooperating. Right. It never gets mentioned again. So if I say to you, hey, John, you remember that thing we did with that guy? We left him in the street. What are you talking about, Dom? We never did anything. I had nothing to do with that. That's supposed to be your response. Yeah. So when Joe Messino asked Vinny, who did this, because the newspapers initially, I remember reading, They said he was a Genovese associate. Vinnie turns around. Dominick did it. He's supposed to say, Joe, I have no idea. I'm in here with you. How do I know who killed him?
Why was Joe Messina wearing a wire?
Joe Messina played the game very well. He didn't want to do. At the end of the day, Joe Messina used the excuse. They were kicking my wife out. They were taking all my houses, my money. The government was fining him around $12 million. At the end of the day, after he cooperated, he wound up paying them $8 million. The guy's worth maybe 30, 40 million.
Right.
So Joe, stop with that. Joe didn't want to do life in prison.
So was he facing life? Did they have that kind of evidence?
No, he was found guilty, went to trial, found guilty. The day he was found guilty, he asked to speak to the prosecutor and the judge. And what Joe did, I'll tell you how sharp he was. He sent word out to Vinnie Basciano in code. Greg Andres, who is the prosecutor, is giving me a hard time. He's being disrespectful. He gave him a lot of innuendos to kill him, to kill the prosecutor. So Vinnie tells me, he says, Dom, get ready. I think we're going to have to kill Greg Andres. That Joe Messina even said the guy eats at a certain restaurant every Thursday night. So Vinnie said, we're going to have to move on this quick and take him out. I'm like, okay, whatever you want, I'm with you.
So you were prepared to kill a U.S. attorney,
yes, I was. And the funny part of it all, Joe set it up and then let it hang. He didn't give the confirmation to say, yes, go ahead. Let it hang. So what Joe did when he walked in, he knew he had nothing to tell the government because his brother-in-law told him everything, who was with him for 20, 25 years. So Joe says, well, I know a hit on the prosecutor. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to listen. He failed 2 lie detector tests with it, but they still, and I look now, they still had to act on it because God forbid, maybe he failed because of nerves or the test wasn't working properly. We have to act because God forbid this prosecutor gets killed. Now, all of a sudden, they take Vinnie off the street. And Joe made it look like Vinnie was the one who set it up. It wasn't.
So what became of that with Vinnie? Did they charge him with?
No, not initially. They were looking to charge him. And then when I cooperated, I told them the truth. I told them it was Joe Messina, it wasn't Vinnie.
Wow.
And I cooperated. Greg Andres happened to be my sponsor. So he says, you would have killed me? I said, absolutely. Because my life is on the line then.
Man, the Mafia, you guys were some gangsters in your day. Like you were prepared. You had that kind of ability to touch, the highest law of the land, basically, a federal prosecutor.
It's a no-no. You're not supposed to. But if a boss tells you to do something, you have to do it.
And so that hierarchy and that order taking is real. Or yes, was real.
It's still real. It's still real. Really? You still have it. There's different levels of respect. Like the guy now who's running the Bonanno Crime Family, Michael Mancuso. He's a joke. He's a jerk. I don't like him. There's always been bad blood. And if the government doesn't lock me up in January of what year did I get locked up in? 2005. That Valentine's Day of 2005, I was already given the green light to kill Michael Mancuso. I was killing him. I was going to leave him outside his girlfriend's house on the steps. So the government saved his life by locking me up.
Right. Okay. So let's get back to, as you're getting groomed by the Genovese family. Why did you not end up going with them? I mean, you seem like perfect for the Genovese. You're low key, you're sharp, you're a great earner. Take us through like your teenage years and how you started to get deeper and deeper into the game.
My teenage years, I was selling drugs. When I started selling cocaine in my neighborhood, Ernie pulled me up and said, listen, you can't come around me as much because you're doing drugs and you could get me killed. So I say, no, but he says, I'm always here for you. Always tell me what's going on because if something happens to you, I know where to go. I said, all right. And he was basically I'd still look at him today as a father figure. That's why I won't talk anything bad about him or say anything, divulge, stuff on him. And when I wound up in the neighborhood, we were selling anywhere from 2 to 3 kilograms loose a week.
That's amazing.
I had an operation. We had our runners. We had certain locations. We would open up from 11 a.m. in the morning. On weekends, around the clock. Weekdays, we'd shut down maybe 12, 1 o'clock during the weekdays.
What are the spots you're using?
We had Wilkerson Park, which is a park in the Pelham Bay section. We had Fiesta Bowling Alley, which is another place. Pelham Bay train station. We set up all different meets for people.
And who are your workers?
Kids, guys in the neighborhood that we grew up with.
Italian guys?
Yeah, younger kids my age.
So you guys are selling dope like Puerto Ricans in Spanish Harlem.
Yes,
even
but we
up in the
weren't
Bronx.
hanging on corners. They would call the pagers with certain codes, and we'd send the runners out with the amounts.
I had no idea that Italians moved that way in the Bronx. Well, because I don't know. I guess I assumed I think to outsiders, we don't look at street level drug dealing as something that wise guys affiliates are part of.
Right.
Like I always assumed Italian guys in the 80s were only dealing with wholesale heroin through like the Pizza Connection.
They were.
Or I know they were right. But you're taking keys and breaking them down. You're selling, that's 3,000 grams a week.
Yep.
You're moving through the Bronx. I mean, it's
listen,
it's
at the time, we were paying anywhere from 27,000 to 36,000 a key. It was fluctuating.
Yeah.
So
who was your connect?
I had people in Harlem. Actually, Joey Cupcakes was one of them.
Oh, this is when Italians still lived in Harlem.
Yeah.
On Purple Gang. What do you call that?
His 116th and Pleasant.
Right.
There was
Pleasant
a
Avenue.
place, I think it was 2nd Avenue, called Delightfuls, 1st or 2nd Avenue. The diner there. There was Spanish kids there, but that was one place where I would get the drugs. And then also in the Bronx from people up there, get kilograms. And the funny part of it all, we'd break it down. We'd sell out grams for anywhere from $60 to $70 a gram. So it was just volume, just flipping it out. We didn't cut our stuff. So that's where the volume kicked in. And we did well. As a kid, 17, 18, 19 years old, we were making money. I had brand new cars, motorcycles, jewelry. I would say I made close to $1 million by the time I was maybe 19 years old, 18 years old. I had nothing to show for it. I didn't have the guidance. As fast as it came in, I spent it. Going out, partying, bringing people out, staying out 2-3 nights, and just blowing everything, being a wild man. That's where I needed the guidance of a father that I didn't have. And Ernie he was a father figure, but we distanced ourselves from one another because of the fact what I was doing.
You didn't have to pay. You didn't think about like paying a guy from a family for protection.
I would. You know what? There was one time we thought somebody was sitting on me. Man, I came out strapped up with an Uzi, and thank God they weren't on the corner. I wish nobody's going to shake me down. It just wasn't happening.
Were you strapped?
Yeah, I was always carrying. I was always carrying.
Where was your father, your real father at this time?
My father was in jail as a kid. He did about 9.5 years back in the 70s for heroin trafficking. When he came home, I never really had a relationship with him. It was always about his stepkids, I felt. And we just never saw eye to eye, always arguing. And I got shot. I was, I think, 17 or 18 years old in the ankle by accident. A neighborhood fight, guy pulls out a gun. I wound up getting shot. And there was supposed to be a sit down in Harlem. I didn't go. I just sent word. It happened on the street. It's going to end on the street. I'm at the back of my building, Hazel Towers, and I have a gun on me. And I'm on crutches. And my father, car screeches, pulls up. He beat me from one end of the street to the other. Gun came out of my waistband. And it's like, how dare you? We're going to settle this and you're not going to do anything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's a neighborhood fight. The guy pulls out a gun, starts shooting wild. I get hit and I have to suck it up. No, that's not happening. And that's just, I just lost respect for my father. And I got more respect, like Ernie, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. Anybody comes, tell them I'll handle it. I'll handle it from there. And that's where I got, I mean, there was other altercations. I had with my father's friends. I'm with Ernie one day. We're boxing. We just finished working out. Father comes in, starts getting on me. When my friends see you, they're going to break your ass. Tell your friends, any of them come to me, I'm going to put them down with a pistol. He knew what I meant. You do that, all of a sudden Ernie gets up. Listen, you better tell all your friends, anybody touches this kid, they're going to have a problem with me. Nobody. And then all of a sudden my father's tune changed. Well, no, there's no, this is his neighborhood. He does what he wants to do. They don't like it. They'll answer to me. Wow. And that's where I gravitated. It's like, wow, I finally got that tough love. And listen, there's a lot of things I did as a kid. And Ernie's like, somebody comes out of the woodwork, you tell them to see me. Don't be disrespectful. Tell them to come see me. And if they keep on persisting, they get disrespectful after that, do what you have to do. Because then they're disrespecting me that you're telling me. Telling them to go see me.
So it was Ernie's neighborhood.
Basically.
And you were the kid getting money and
he loved me.
You were getting mentored by him.
He saw quality in me. Yeah. He knew I would outgrow the drug phase. But
I'm hearing some notes of a Bronx tale in this.
Oh, you know what I mean? Oh, listen,
between Sonny and Colangelo. Okay, so how does that? Well, first of all, what happens with the kid who shot you? How did that resolve itself?
The kid that shot me, I never ran into him. So I never got my revenge. But it's funny because when I came home, this is maybe 20 years later. I'm in the Bronx. It's probably around 2003. And all of a sudden, Vinnie calls for me. What's up? What's going on? You're after, his name was Guy. You're after Guy? I said, what are you talking about, Vinnie? Guy, you're after him. Because Guy ran to Guy Funzi, Al Francisco, who's a captain in the Gambinos. He says, you're looking to kill him. Vinnie, I haven't seen Guy in years since he shot me that time. He says, well, he said you were looking at him under the L by my club, which was in the Pelham Bay section of the Bronx. And he said, the way you were staring at him, he thinks you want to kill him. I said, I don't even know what he looks like. Tell me he's paranoid. No. And Vinnie, I would tell you. Matter of fact, if I wanted to kill him, I would have told you, let's go. I'm rolling on. No, tell him he's okay. He's safe. But tell him stop using his drugs. And that's what I threw out there. But, he got away with that.
Yeah. But, so then you're 19 and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, moving keys. What happens next?
I wound up going to Florida. I wanted to get away from the streets, the life.
You were using, right?
I was partying. Of course, listen, 90% of the street guys, they're partying, they're using. Anybody that says different, they're lying. It's just the way it is. I go to Florida, and long and short of it all, I wound up catching a murder case down there. It was, while I'm down there, I had two of my friends come down. They needed money. So I had them go rob a drug dealer down there. They robbed the drug dealer, and lo and behold, the guy accused me. I'm like, his name was George. I'm like, George, had nothing to do with it. And after a while, maybe 3-4 months went by, I happened to move with my wife in that same area. And I'm like, this area looks familiar. It just didn't dawn on me. I had too much on my mind. I was so wild. I wound up renting a condo, a townhouse. All of a sudden, I get a knock on my door, and I look out the peephole, and it's George standing there. I'm like, what the heck? And then it hit me. I'm like, son of a... the place that I rented, it was George's complex.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even realize it. So I go running upstairs. I had a 380 with a silencer. I screw it on. I go back downstairs and I open up the door, but I already have the gun on the side of the door. And he's standing there. He has his shirt open. There's 2 pistols in his waistband. He's effed up. And he's like, I know you robbed me and this and that. So we start talking. I said, listen, George, you know I live here. I didn't even realize you lived here. Otherwise, I would have never rented this. So I'm not being antagonistic. I'm not throwing anything in your face. But let's talk tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. I see you have 2 guns on you. I says, it's not going to end well. So one of us is going to die tonight. So he agrees. Next, I go back upstairs, and next day taps on my door. We talk. I said, listen, it's in your head. I see I can't convince you. You're blaming me for you getting robbed. So let's do this, George. And I'm constantly denying it to him. I said, what we'll do is, would they rob? Say if the figure was $40,000 total with the drugs and the money. Let's do business together. Illegal weed and cocaine. And all my profit, I'll give it to you until you're made whole for the $40,000. And then from there, we'll make, we'll split everything. So he's okay. 3 different occasions. First time he comes, now weeks go by, tells me, hey, I have somebody that owes me money out in the Everglades. Why don't you come with me? He just bought a new TV, this and that. Kick the door. You could have it. I'm like, no, George, that's not for me. Right away, my flags are up, like red flags. He's trying to convince me, no, that's off the table. Maybe about 2 or 3 weeks goes by, and he decides, Dom, why don't you and your wife come with me? I want to go fishing down in the Keys. I'll go fishing. You come, we'll fish. It'll be quiet. It's really quiet where I go. I'm like, no, I'm okay, George. I'm not a fisher. No, but it's really good. It'll de-stress you. I'm like, no, I'm all right. Now my father's friends come down from New York. Excuse me. They come down, and we have to go collect money from an insurance guy. So he doesn't know they're my father's friends. There's 2 of them. I go with one of them, guy Ernie Colazzo. We go upstairs to the insurance guy. We're up there maybe about an hour. The guy downstairs, Vinnie Foresta's with George. So we come in. I get into the car. I'm driving. Go to their motel. I get into my car with George, and we leave. We meet up later that evening. I have my wife with me. So George is all effed up on drugs. So he says, I'm going out while we're having dinner. He goes out, and we plan to meet at a place called Roland's. It's like a lounge bar type in Fort Lauderdale. But when we get there, Ernie says, I have to talk to you. Pulls me aside. When he pulls me aside, George comes over, and Ernie balked at him. They get into a big heated argument. I get in between both of them. George, just go sit over there. Let me talk with him. Ernie, why are you being disrespectful to the guy? He says, Dom, this guy tried killing you today. Did you know that? I said, well, I had a feeling. I didn't know about today, but I had a feeling he was looking to set me up. What happened was when we were upstairs at the insurance place, he tells Vinnie, look, I'll give you $20,000 to kill Dominick. So Vinnie's like, I'll take the contract for the $20,000, but I don't have a gun. He's testing him since my father's friend.
Yeah.
So George says, I have a gun on me. So he says, all right, when I'm sitting in the back of the car, if I see there's a right opportunity, that the opportunity presents itself, I'll tap you on the leg, just pass me the gun, and I'll shoot him in the back of the head. So Vinnie does it. George passes him the gun. So he tells me that. So I told Ernie, okay, here's what we'll do. Tell George you're getting hookers tonight, and you're going to your hotel. It's called the Sandy Shoes Motel in Pompano Beach, on the beach. They're on, I think, the 3rd floor of this motel. So he tells George, and I tell my wife, you have a headache. Stop bitching. So after about a half hour, I have a headache. I want to go home. I said, George, I have to go. You want to go with them? He says, yeah. I'm going to go with them. And the plan was once George gets into the hotel, they're going to knock him out. I'll come there. We'll take him out of the hotel and I'll do what I have to do.
Can I pause right there?
Yes.
Why was George from New York? Was he a connected guy? Is that why
George was a biker? He was from New Jersey.
Okay.
And his father was a police state trooper.
Okay.
For the Jersey police.
Okay. So I'm just wondering why he knows all of these New York guys.
He didn't know them. He didn't know my father's friends. This is how out of his mind he was because he's high. Yeah. He's telling a stranger, you want a contract?
He's crazy.
Like, he's just not thinking sensible.
Do you think when he invited you and your wife out to go fishing, he was going to kill both of you guys?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
And meanwhile, your two friends that you gave the score to rob him got away clean.
Yeah, well, I wasn't giving them up. They're my friends. They're my childhood friends. Right. He didn't catch any of us, so I'm going to deny it till the wheels fall off. I'll never admit that we robbed you. And I figured, okay, his greed will kick in. We'll just split it. But he wanted his vengeance. And, that evening, now I went home. I dressed up changed my clothes. Wife went to bed. I grabbed my 380 with the silencer. And for some reason, as I walked up the stairs, now I'm thinking he's going to be knocked out. And I knock on the door and I said, let me just take it out. I took out the weapon and I screwed the silencer on, cock it. And all of a sudden, who is it? I said, it's me. So cracks the door open and he sees it's me and it's George. I'm like, son of a. So as he opens up the door fully, I step in, I have the gun on my side and I push him, put the gun up. So right away we shut the door and Ernie grabs him and grabs 2 pistols out of his waist. And he's sitting on the bed and we're going back and forth. So George, you wanted to kill me. I didn't want to kill you. What are you talking about? Ernie goes off and cracks him. I said, Ernie, don't hit him. So I want them to feel comfortable. So he turns around and says, I didn't want to kill him. So Ernie tells him the whole thing. You pass Vinnie the gun. So Vinnie's a liar. And they went going back and forth. All of a sudden, his last words were, I gotta pee. And he bolts. He jumps off the bed and goes for the door. I turn around and I fire 1 shot in the back of his head. You would think he would fall forward. I guess I hit a nerve. He stopped short before the door and his whole body jumped backwards. And he flipped over on the floor face down. And all you seen was the blood just, as your heart beats, you could see pump, pump, pump. It's squirting out of the back of his head.
So it's like, if you've seen Goodfellas when they kill Tommy at the end and it's just like fountaining out of it. Holy, was that obviously the craziest thing you'd ever seen? I mean, it happened so fast. It was reflexes, I would say. Yeah.
So there wasn't nerves. I didn't expect to kill him right then and there.
But you would expected to kill him though. Taking him out of the hotel and take him to the Everglades or something.
Yeah. And at that point it was more peer pressure than anything because now I have my father's friends as street guys. I have to act.
Yeah.
So it wasn't it was spontaneous right at that moment, but it wouldn't have been a spontaneous action because I knew we planned everything.
And what did you feel after that?
Nothing.
You didn't feel guilt?
I didn't feel guilt because this guy was looking to kill me. And like I tell people nowadays who ask me, my wife was one of them. So I was honest with her from day one when she met me. And she asked me that. And I'm like, Maddie, all my victims, everybody who got killed, were in the life. They were gangsters. They would have put a bullet in my head like that. So how am I supposed to have remorse for somebody who would kill me? There was no innocent victims. Yeah. It's like being at war. You're on the battlefield. You kill another soldier. It's do or die.
Yeah.
Same thing in the streets. Everybody's a soldier out there. Everybody's a thug.
Yeah.
Even in the drug game, if another drug rivalry, like if you have a rivalry with another drug gang and you start shooting it out and you kill somebody, hey, it's either me or them.
I know. I still don't personally think I could kill anyone. Like if I got robbed back in the day, I would just let it go. Cause I'm like, there's no way for me that I can escalate this to a homicide. Like it's just not worth it. You know,
my partner, Michael Sullivan, in the drug business back then, he did get robbed. His girlfriend's uncle robbed them. We went out to Jersey. I found where he lived, strapped up, ready to kill him. I'm waiting in the bushes for him to come home. I'm going to jump out and pop him. After about maybe half hour, he's like, Dom, come on, let's go. He couldn't do it. He didn't want to say it. But I respect that.
Yeah.
Like, as long I was upset at that time because I'm like, Michael, if you didn't want to see him get killed or you didn't have the heart for it, why'd you have us risk bringing all the weapons out here and with a stolen car?
Yeah.
It's just,
well, that was the reason.
That's
what separates a gangster, you know, from everybody else, from a businessman, even like, you know, my whole thinking back when I was in the game was like, I'm making so much money that this is a business expense. As long as it's not the cops,
right?
He can have this little 5 pounds. It's nothing. I move 4 times that in one transaction.
Right.
But, so you've killed him. You've killed George. What do you do with George? Sorry, man.
Well, we put him on the bed and then I put another bullet in his head to make sure he was dead.
Yeah. Get him to quit twitching.
And then we went out to get cleaning materials and everything. Long and short of it all, we wrapped him up. And
you don't dismember him?
No, we wrapped him up tight.
Yeah.
And then we dragged the body out of the hotel room down the stairs. It's like maybe about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is he wrapped up in carpet?
We wrapped him up. I had a shower curtain, car cover, bags. We wrapped him up, duct taped it, wrapped him up
Not exactly
really
the
good.
most subtle way to.
I know. And we dragged him out of the hotel room, down the stairs, 3 flights, and I had my car pulled up, trunk open, and we threw the body in the trunk and drove it all the way to Palm Beach County. And took a side road and then wound up dumping him in a canal. They found the body about a month later.
Yeah.
It was at that time, George weighed maybe about 230 pounds.
Yeah.
When they found the body from the autopsy and everything, I think he was down to 110 pounds.
Crazy. But they never got any evidence on you. There was never any DNA, any fingerprints.
What happened was I get arrested for accessory to after the fact of first degree murder. I'm waiting to get bailed out. They hit me with first degree murder.
How do they catch you? How do they get that on you?
They brought me in for questioning. I went in. Then they showed me a picture of somebody wasn't even, because they had phone records from the hotel. They wound up finding bloody stuff. And they knew when Ernie stood there, was at that hotel. They didn't know the last name. So they showed me a picture. The guy looked like Bozo the Clown. They said, is this Ernie? And it was probably a guy whose name was Ernie. I said, no, I should have just said, I'm not answering any questions, but I really didn't know the guy.
Yeah.
So I said no. And they locked me up for accessory to after the fact. They said, that is Ernie. And with that, I go to get bailed out. They hit me with first degree murder. Got bailed out on that, made bail.
Wow.
And as I'm waiting, they wound up they found cigarette butts. They got the prints off of it. Ernie Colazzo. He was on probation. They locked him up. And that evening, I get a phone call because we had law enforcement people up there, up in New York. They told me Ernie's cooperating. I said, no, he's not. They told me specific things that happened that night. I went back in the room. I put another shot into George's head.
Yeah.
So I go back. I call my father. Your friend's ratting on me. No, that's what they do. Dad, he's ratting on me. Of course, my father never took my side with anything. And lo and behold, he ratted.
And this is Ernie
Colazzo.
And this is your mentor?
No,
or
this is not
your,
my mentor.
I just
this is
want to
my
make
father.
sure.
This is another Ernie altogether.
You know how it is with Italian
Yes.
names. Everybody's Paulie or Peter. I get confused myself sometimes. Okay. Gotcha.
So he ratted on me. And long and short of it all, I was facing the death penalty or 25 to life. They come back with a plea, 7 years. I told them manslaughter, from first degree murder to manslaughter.
Wow.
I told them drop the gun charge. I'll take it because the gun charge in the state of Florida carries a 3-year mandatory at that time. And I wouldn't have been eligible to get my good time.
Right.
So they dropped the gun charge.
How did they come back with a plea like that?
Here's what happened. I'm thinking the lawyer did this. Good lawyering.
Yeah.
They had a weak case. Remember, I don't have a criminal record at the time. Ernie does. They didn't catch Vinnie. Vinnie's on the lam for wrestler. So what do they have? They have nothing on me. So I'm thinking it's good lawyering. They have nothing. They just want to get the case off their books. I get a letter. My lawyer hands me a letter. It's from Ernie. Day of sentencing. And I'm reading the letter. Come to find out, Ernie told the cops, when he told on me, he said it was self-defense. George had 2 guns. He tried paying Vinnie earlier in the day to shoot me. And I wound up beating him on the draw, and I shot him first. And so now they have a guy ratting saying it's self-defense. So that's what got me my plea deal.
Wow. So he ratted on you, but
lied.
also helping you.
And lied.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So what happened to Ernie?
Ernie, while I was in jail, okay, I come home. I did 17 months.
Okay, so you did 17 months on a body.
17 months on a body with good time. I had a 7-year bid, did 17 months, I come home. I'm on 3 months supervisor release, probation, whatever they call it in the state.
I did more than 17 months for selling marijuana,
wait, it
folks.
gets
I just
better.
want to throw that out for the record.
It gets better. I'm out altogether 4 months. I got married while I was out. And I got married on a yacht. So as people are boarding the yacht, my father's friend is there. And I'm like, Maurice, what's cops doing here? Lo and behold, 2 weeks after I got married, they come and arrest me. While I was out, I picked up a half ounce of cocaine, trying to make some money. Just came home. I need to make something. It was garbage. I gave it to my co-defendant. He sold the cocaine. The night he was selling the cocaine, he said, Dom, come meet me. I'll give you the money. Cocaine was garbage, but he got $600 for it. So I'm sitting in the car with him, does the transaction. He slips me the money. Nobody saw that. He's dealing with a DEA agent. So the agent says, hey, can I call you next week? Can I get 2 or 3? He said, I responded, we could work it out. As soon as, which I never did, they had a tape. It was partly unintelligible. We exit the vehicle. I tell my co-defendant, his name was Robert, don't deal with that guy. He's a cop.
Wow.
He's
How
a
did
cop.
you know?
I just know. And being on the streets your whole life, you could tell. Number one, the coke was garbage. Right. He's talking about, hey, could I get more?
Yeah.
Never sample it. Like, I knew it was garbage. And find out when they did the test on it, was only 63% pure. Yeah. So it's garbage. Yeah. So I told him, don't deal with him. He's a cop. And I left. Robert kept on dealing, brought somebody else in. And that's when they arrested everybody. They said I was a supplier. And there was another arrest with another group that was another supplier. So long and short of it all, DEA wants me to work with them in New York. The day they arrested me, they told me, just work with us. We won't even charge you. We want guys up in New York. We know you used to be part of a drug gang and this and that. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a rat. I'll be out. This is what I told them. I'll be out on bail. I figured I'm definitely getting out on bail on this. They remand me, no bail. So now we go for speedy trial. I go to trial. The government would tell my co-defendant cooperated, Robert. He winds up cooperating. And come to find out, he tells the government the truth. The cocaine was mine, but I never wanted to deal with them. There was no conspiracy because I told him soon we got out of the car, the guy's a cop, don't deal with him. They withheld that information, the 302s from me. They never gave it to me.
Was that illegal?
Yes, that's illegal. I have a trial. I go to trial. My trial is 2 hours with open and closing arguments. One witness took the stand, the agent, 45 minutes, his testimony. He said he was given a half ounce. He gave my co-defendant the money. My co-defendant gave him the coke. He said, I asked for 2 or 3 next week and I'll bring the money. He said, I responded, we could work it out. My lawyer said, did you discuss, what'd you mean? He meant kilograms. Lawyer says, wait, let's get this straight. You're given a half ounce. You asked for 2 or 3. Did you tell him kilos? He said, no. I assumed he knew what I was talking about. Did you discuss price? He said, no. So where do you come off kilos? Well, I assumed he knew what I was talking about. That was it. That was the whole case. They never gave me the 302s for my co-defendant because I would have called him to the stand. They found me guilty of conspiracy. They found me not guilty of possession, guilty of conspiracy for 2 or 3 kilograms. I was sentenced to 10 years.
Holy.
So I went to jail for a crime I didn't commit.
Wow. So you kind of paid for that body.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
you got your karma right though.
Yeah. And
wow. So did you appeal it while you were down?
I appealed it. They actually gave me was granted oral argument. Came back on my 22. I think it's 2255. We had the hearing, and they didn't want to hear it.
Wow. So it didn't matter that
didn't matter.
They didn't show you the 302.
No.
Wow.
On a one witness trial, their own cooperating witness said, and they didn't call him. They didn't give me the 302s. And it just shows back then how dirty the system was.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's crazy off of, so I guess conspiracy to sell 3 kilos would carry
2 to 3,
a mandatory.
Especially I was convicted criminal.
Yeah, priors.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So while you're down, where'd you go? First of all, you're in the feds.
I was all over. I was started in Lewisburg Penitentiary.
How was Lewisburg?
That year I would say there was a lot of killings that year. There was a piping or a stabbing almost every single day. It was wild. Yeah. It was like a gladiator school.
Yeah. Lewisburg. Did you ever see it?
See it in what sense?
Did you ever walk by somebody that just got gutted?
Oh yeah. My orientation is in K dorm, which was downstairs in the basement unit. I'm up early in the morning. I'm sitting by the officer's station, getting ready for them to call to open up the gates for the dining room to go eat. It's maybe about 5:30 in the morning. All of a sudden, a guy comes walking. Now it's dark because everybody's sleeping, dimly lit. He comes walking out, and you see him where he has his shower shoes on, underwear, his boxes, and his T-shirt. And he's walking, he's holding himself. He said, CO, I think I got stabbed. Now, when he said that, I look, and the white shirt was all brown. They lock it down. He got stabbed maybe about 7 to 10 times. And the guy slept maybe 4 or 5 bunks away from me. And I'm like, oh, damn. So it was eye-opening.
Yeah. Did you keep a knife on you after that?
No, I didn't keep a knife on me, but I had access to knives.
Yeah.
I had an altercation, almost a big altercation there, because I was wild. I didn't give a shit. But at the end of the day, where I almost went at it with another guy from Philly, I'm like, look at this. I'm thinking to myself, I have a 10-year sentence. I'm going to wind up with a life bid here for killing somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I feared most, more than anything. Yeah. And lo and behold, it didn't happen. So I lucked out with that. Yeah. But then from there, I was in Allenwood FCI Farrington, New Jersey, the FCI, Cumberland, Maryland, FCI, Talladega, Alabama, FCI, Schuylkill, Pennsylvania, FCI, Estelle, South Carolina, FCI.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, I was having, with the female officers, I was corrupting them, having relationships with them.
So you're getting laid.
I was, listen, I'm 22 years old, 23 years old, 24. What do you think I'm going to do? I was.
So you were getting, so throughout your 10-year
Oh,
period,
my
you
God.
were.
And one of the corrections listen, I even went with a psychiatrist in there. She wound up quitting her job. She was all messed up. But one of the corrections officers I wound up marrying. She quit her job.
Wow.
Married her.
This happens, folks. This happens. Wow. Gosh, that Italian charm.
We wind up getting married.
I think in The Godfather, I think that Brewster says your guinea charm. Olive oil hair and guinea charm. Wow. No way. So your first marriage had fallen apart when you went to prison, I assume, or were
Actually,
you still
this
married?
was marriage number 3.
Oh my God.
My first marriage with the George Kehoe murder. She didn't want to wait for me. She left me. When I came home, she wanted to get back. I'm like, no. The second marriage, she waited maybe about 4 years into my bid. She couldn't take it anymore, and she left me. So the third marriage, we got married by phone. Marriage by phone out in California, actually. It was legal. They did the marriage over the phone, and we got married. I got to see her when I was in Schuylkill. They let her in to come see me, and then after that, they took her off my visiting list. They wouldn't let her come back.
Okay, I was going to say, so what prison did you meet your third wife at?
I met her in Farrington, New Jersey.
So were you guys hooking up in the psychiatry room?
No, she wasn't a psychiatrist. She was a corrections officer.
Okay.
And it's funny. I had 2 corrections officers in that institution I was going with. Listen, I had the male officers come up to me that liked me.
Yeah.
They're like, Cicale, cool it down. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, listen, I know you have these 2 women. They're arguing to take your unit for overtime. And I know people are talking.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you get jammed up. I like you. You're one of the good guys here. Because I minded my own business. I didn't get involved with stuff other than, listen. And
screwing. Old-fashioned screwing. So where do you screw a CO?
We would go in the okay, you have the unit.
Yeah.
The units were separated. You had A side and B side, or unit 1 and 2, however they categorized it.
Yeah.
And in the middle, you have the counselor's office. So at night, there's no counselors there, but they have the keys. So I would go into the staff bathroom, or they would come in my room. And in my room, I had my friend from the Bronx. He was there with me. We were roommates.
Yeah.
And I even hooked him up with a correctional officer. I mean, we had it going on there. You know,
what about the blind? So do you have to use the blind spots for the cameras, or do they turn the cameras off?
Well, at that time, there wasn't cameras in the units.
Okay.
They're outside on the compound,
Right.
and cameras weren't a big thing back then.
Right.
So
You guys never got caught.
No, we never got caught. They actually, she wound up resigning. They transferred me to a different institution. They did lock us up for it, but they never caught us. They wanted me to press charges for on her.
Dude, that is a way.
I told them I don't know what you're talking about.
If you had a life sentence, that's a way to get out of it. Like, hey,
I don't think that'll get you off a life sentence.
Take a couple of years off a long bit. I don't know. That's probably why, I'm sure that's been attempted before. You know what I mean? By inmates. They'll do whatever.
Sure, but listen, at the end of the day, they're human as well. And they see you have charisma. They're there every day with you, interacting. Yeah. So,
were they bringing stuff in for you?
I never asked for that. I would rather, I never asked.
Was enough?
Yes. Just give me.
I'm sorry for being crude.
Especially at being younger. That's all you think about.
Yeah. Love.
So, that's it.
So you get married. How long did you stay married to the psychiatrist for, or the correction officer? Yeah.
We were married. She helped me. I finished up my bid, which was maybe about 4.5 years. Great. I mean, always their cards, letters, even sending me money to my account. And then when I came home, it was just, I was working in the Union in Jersey, Tile, Marble, and Terrazzo, Local 7. And I was doing well. I was staying away, other than me going to New York to kill somebody.
Hang on, I don't want to get us to get too far ahead of ourselves, because clearly, at this point, you've got potential. Like, while you're locked up on this drug pinch, you have potential as an earner. You showed it in your teenage years on the street, but you're now a loser, right? You've lost everything. You're doing 10. Basically, we're framed,
right?
And did you change? Did you say, okay, I want to actually
that's a great
get my
question.
shit together?
Great question. Actually, yes, I did. I felt, you know what? My mentality was, if I did it illegal, I could do it legally. Let me put everything together. But I was kidding myself as well, because I was always tempted. I was a criminal at heart. I guess being young, even though I focused on legitimate things, you present like checks. Hey, Dom, we have account numbers. Say if it was DuPont, one of the checks, big company, they have tens of millions of dollars in their account. They had their account number, so they made duplicate checks to cash. So there was always that criminal element within me.
Yeah. Well, I guess I meant too, did you think, I got to get my criminal together? Like, I want to be a wise guy. No,
the wise guy wasn't. I didn't look at it. A lot of guys in the street want to be a wise guy. They want to be made. I was always confident in myself, my abilities. I didn't want it. I didn't care for it, because I knew I was a man myself. And there was times when I did come home, I wasn't made. I chased the captain in the Lucchese crime family around the car. Called me a rat. He didn't call me to my face. Vinnie went to introduce me to this guy. And he said, the guy told him, I heard Dominick's a rat. And I just came home from jail. And Vinnie calls me out of the car. He says, Dom, he says you're a rat. And I went after him. He's running from me. Vinnie, tell him who I am. Tell him who I am. Long and short of it all, Vinnie tells me to stop. Vinnie tells the guy, let me tell you something. You or anybody else that comes out of their mouth, your mouth again, Dominick's going to do what he has to do. Because if he doesn't, he can't be around me. If you're going to say something like that, you better have proof. And if you don't have proof, if you're just saying it and he F's you up and I'm with him, I don't care. Friend, not friend, boss, underboss, I'm helping him. Then we'll deal with it, whatever we have to do after that. Because you're not going to tarnish him because you don't like him. And what type of man would he be if he didn't go at you? You think you're going to hide behind your button? These are killing offenses. You better make sure and let everybody in this neighborhood know that.
Wow. So in the mob, if you call somebody a rat
and you can't back it up.
Yeah.
And say if I would have grabbed him and I would have beat the F out of him. If he can't back, we go to a sit down. Yes, I'm supposed to get killed for putting my hands on a made member, especially where I know they're made. However, when I sit down at that sit down and I bring up to the boss who's ever sitting there, well, let me ask you something. I'm in the streets. The guy called me a rat. If I don't do anything, I must be a rat.
Right.
How dare he without proof? He should know better. And another aspect of it, he's a made guy. Am I correct? I know you can't answer that, but he is made. Aren't you guys supposed to be better than us civilians? That you're supposed to be above us? So he should know better than to call anybody a rat.
Right.
And by him calling me a rat, if I don't do anything, he's putting my life in danger by other street guys.
And he's crippling your ability to earn. Because if you're a rat, you're going to get isolated on the street. So I guess if you're made and I'm a made guy and you call me a rat just to tarnish me, I can go kill you for that.
If you don't have proof, yeah, you could get killed. I could ask for your head.
Wow.
And that happened too with guys in my Dejeen. We had the guy, it was Perry. No, not Perry. I'm sorry. Joe Torre. His name is Joe Torre.
No shit.
And Gino Gillespie. Calling each other rats. They didn't even know me. I was their captain. I inherited them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, do you realize you both could get killed? Like, where's the proof?
Right.
You can't stop. I don't want to hear that. I don't know what your other captain tolerated.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tolerate it.
Right.
I'm going to let you guys have a pass right now.
Yeah.
But if I hear that come out of your mouths again, your head's going to be on a platter.
Wow.
And
So you really like stood up for yourself even
Always.
before you were a made guy.
always.
Yeah.
Always, without a doubt.
So walk us. So you get out of jail. Did you get a trade while you were in there?
No.
So okay.
No, I was just
you're just too busy getting laid.
too busy having a good time, making the best out of a bad situation.
Sure. So but you got out, and how long were you straight, or what was the plan? I guess
The plan was when I came home in December, I was freed from the halfway house.
What year was this?
In 1999.
Okay. And how long did you do total?
Almost 9 years.
Wow.
On that.
Yeah. Fed time
for a crime I didn't commit.
85%. Yeah.
Yeah. I went immediately to New York, and then, I reached out to Bruno. That's Anthony Indelicato.
And who is he?
Bruno was, at one time, he was a captain in the Bonanno Crime Family.
Okay.
He killed Carmine Galante back in the day, who was trying to take over the Bonanno Crime Family. And he was supposed to be, in the movie Donnie Brasco, the three captains that got killed, Bruno was supposed to be there that night too with his father, Sonny Red. He wasn't. Bruno was out partying, doing coke.
Oh, okay.
That's what saved his life.
Gotcha.
But afterwards, Bruno wasn't there. So he didn't get killed that night.
So you went to a captain in the Bananos. And where are the Bananos back then, when New York still had neighborhoods? Where were they mostly based out of?
In Queens, Brooklyn, all throughout the five boroughs, really.
So is that a misconception that like there was like turf split up between the five families in New York?
It's not a misconception at certain times, certain eras, like just for instance, I had a concrete company around me, Liberty Concrete. They went into Staten Island. So they had a client, a customer in Staten Island. They went there. They got stopped by somebody in the Gambinos, telling them, you can't go to Staten Island. We have the whole island. This is our territory. And long and short of it all, I had to sit down with Mickey Boy Paradiso about it. And I said, no. We're going to go in Staten Island. You don't have the whole island. That's crazy. He agreed with me. But before that, word came back was, we see you in Staten Island again. We're going to destroy your trucks, your truck. So Vinnie sent word back to the person that said it, and I'm not sure which made member said it. If you guys touch our truck, our one truck, we're going to burn 10 of your trucks. Like, it's not happening. And that was Vinnie's motto. You do something to us, we're going to act 10 times. We're going to retaliate.
Right. So it sounds like there's no real turf, but it's you just don't step on somebody's toes.
Correct.
Doing business. You don't step on another family's business. Right.
But you get some guys, they will try those antics and it'll work 50% of the times because you're not going up against somebody who's formidable. Yeah. But somebody like myself, Vinnie, we're not going to tolerate it. If we're right, we're going all out.
Yeah. And you weren't bluffing ever when you made these kind of threats?
No.
How does a mafia truck get burnt? Like, how do you burn? You always see in like the TV shows, The Sopranos, some guys' garbage trucks getting blown up. Did you ever do any of that?
No.
Do you know how that's done?
Well, you could do it with a firebomb, put gasoline in a bottle with a rag
old
out.
School.
The old school. Yeah. Or you just, if the trucks are parked, douse them with gasoline, make a trail, throw the match, and watch everything go up.
Okay, so the Italian mafia in America never had like bomb making capabilities like the IRA in Ireland. To your knowledge.
To my knowledge, they did have bomb making capabilities because they blew up a Gambino's car. I think it was Frankie DeCicco, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They blew up his car. They car bombed him. And I think gas pipe had something to do with that. He was Anthony Casso.
Yeah.
He was with the Lucchese crime family.
Okay.
But they were trying to kill John Gotti.
Oh, okay.
At that time. But listen, I never underestimated anybody.
Okay.
Anybody, especially like I said in the beginning, it's not who yells the loudest that counts. When a guy's quiet, I fear him more so.
Sure.
Or I'll be more careful with that guy than a loudmouth.
Okay. So I cut you off. You went to, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. The Bonanno captain.
I went to,
when you got
at
out.
the time he wasn't a captain any longer. He was a soldier. He was he was close with Vinnie Basciano. So I sat down with them. Vinnie asked me a bunch of questions. Bruno felt Vinnie and I would be compatible. We're both from the Bronx. We're both similar. And that was it. So right away, Vinnie took a liking to me, especially a month later, 2 months later, I'm killing somebody with Vinnie.
Okay.
So after we killed somebody.
Hang on, well, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So did they give you a job straight away? Because you said you were working in a union.
In the union. No, my Uncle Peter. My Uncle Peter, he actually played in Goodfellas. He was Pete the Neck.
We'll put him in the episode. Because I can't recall now.
Yeah.
Was it when Ray Liotta's walking into the club and he
says,
saying,
I took care of that thing. I took care of that thing.
Oh wow.
He's in like 3 or 4 small little parts like that.
Was he an actor?
No.
Okay.
No. He was just a knockaround guy in the streets.
He was a
knockaround guys. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So he got you a job in a union?
He got me a job in the union. Actually, it was guys in Philly, the bricklayer delegate in Philly is the one that got me in the tile marble terrazzo union.
Okay.
So I was working every day. Yeah. Working and, trying to do the right thing.
Okay. So, but you also are here with the Bananos now. And did they give you, any kind of action? Did they bless you with anything?
At that time, I wasn't officially with the Bananos. I was still with the Genovese.
Okay.
But I gravitated with Vinnie and I went on that hit with him.
Okay. So you're out 2 months. You just came off of an 8.5 year stretch. I mean, you were having sex more than most people have in the free world. So it didn't sound like too bad of a deal, but like, this is to me, high stakes, right? Like you would think some guy off of a 10-year bid would, be into some white collar shit or some scams, something, but you're going straight to the big one.
It's funny because I remember as if it was yesterday, Bruno paging me. He was working out in Jersey, so I took a trip out there to see him real quick. So I was in Jersey, so I was allowed throughout the state. And he's like, Vinnie has an issue. Guy wants to kidnap his son. That's what he told me. So he said, are you okay with it? That's all he said. I said, Bruno, really? Absolutely. Let's do it. So I knew what he was talking about. With that,
but what was your motivation though? Like
I knew what it was. They're calling on me. I want to be around them. What am I going to say? No. Yeah. I can't. I just came home from jail. Yeah. Right away, that would destroy my future.
Okay. So you did see this as your opportunity to get in with a family.
Yeah. Well, not really with a family. Just listen. I consider Bruno a dear friend, especially in prison. We got along well. He goes back with my Uncle Pete the Neck forever. Okay. And I didn't want to disappoint. I was always one, if a friend needed me, let's go. Let's go. I did think about I just came home but you have to do what you have to do. That was my mentality. It's a thug mentality and let's go. I always prided myself on being one of the first ones to always stand up and fight, never back down. And it was pride. It was out of pride. It's not even peer pressure at that point. It's just pride. Yeah. What you have inside of you. I would never tolerate being disrespected or I pride myself on being a gangster.
Okay. Gotcha. So you still, even after all this time locked up, haven't developed what would become this kind of amazing business acumen yet. You still consider yourself a gangster? not
but you could be a gangster and still have that business acumen. It's just,
but
I
you're
would
not,
never back down. No, I
you're
was
not running.
more,
To run multiple legitimate businesses, anybody that takes a high level skill set. You know
what? It's funny that you do say that, because I'm in business with people right now. They're worth $300-400 million, and I look at them like, wow, you really you got lucky at what you're doing.
That too. That's fair.
Because you know what? I think street smarts outweighs book smart by a lot.
I agree.
A lot. You get a lot further with street. Listen, I'm not saying you could be street smart and just be a buffoon and not have anything upstairs. But if you have street smarts with a little bit of intellect, it'll blow away any college graduate all day long.
For sure. Yeah. And not just for people doing illegal things.
No, legal.
Street smarts for doing legal businesses.
But if you use your street smarts in legal and legitimate businesses, I'll go street smarts any day.
For
any
sure.
day of the week.
I agree.
Hands down.
I agree.
Because I might not know the business, but I guarantee you after a few weeks or a few months, whatever I'm getting involved with, I'll know inside and out, just like with the vodka company.
Yeah.
It's everything in life is a formula. Right. All business is a formula.
Okay. So this is what I'm fascinated by. And I guess we're going to get to it, but when you put your mind to making money and put away the gangster, but for now, tell us how it went down.
I'll give you the short version because we could be here forever talking about it.
Yeah.
Vinnie basically said, this guy's looking to kidnap my son. And come to find out, after we killed the guy, it came out the guy was a junkie in the neighborhood. He used to hang out with my father, and my father was a drug addict as well. And one night they're just hanging out, they're getting high, and Vinnie's son happened to be passing by. In jest, while they're high, hey, imagine how much money we could get if we kidnapped him. Just said it in a jokingly manner.
Yeah.
And Vinnie knew that. But Vinnie said, I'm going to make an example because anybody who jokes like that, it's going to be an example for somebody who thinks they're going to kidnap one of my kids. So Vinnie, his first thing, we're going to kill him. We're going to leave him in the street. And if Joe Messino, who's the boss of the Bonanno Crime Family, asks any one of us, we had nothing to do with it. I don't know what you're talking about. It gets denied. Vinnie himself told me, Dom, once we take this guy out, it never happened. I said, Vinnie, I already know that. I don't even know what you're talking about. We go. We wind up finding him. Pull up on him. He's walking his dog.
Is this in the Bronx?
This is in the Bronx, in the Throg's Neck section of the Bronx.
Okay. So working class, old school. Yep. That's real old school New York.
Right by the service road of the highway.
Did you, now it's 1999, 2000?
It's 2000. February, it's actually February 15th of 2000.
Okay. Dr. Dre's birthday. I don't know why I know that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, February 15th. So do you have an escape route? Do you have, what is your plan? Like, tell us what mob guys, button guys in the mob that are going to commit a murder, what kind of preparation goes into it?
Well, Vinnie set everything up. We have walkie-talkies. There's the car we're in with bogus plates on it. There's two cars. Bruno's in one car. Guy John's in another car. Used for a crash car. Crash car meaning if law enforcement comes after us, somebody calls the cops or there's a chase, they're going to crash into the cop car, make a diversion. Or if somebody comes out, just anything. Somebody wants to play Johnny Hero.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to use that as a diversion.
Gotcha.
And the plan was, once we hit him, we leave him in the street. We'll go a few blocks away around the corner. We'll jump out of Anthony Donato's car, who is also close with Vinnie. He at that time, I don't think he was a made member yet of the Bananos. But Bruno, we jump into Bruno's car and we'll go separate cars, and everybody splits up. Once we get away.
And the car that you did the hit in, that's stolen, or what do you, you just leave it there?
Yeah, that was actually Anthony Donato's car. He had fake plates on it. Velcroed.
Yeah.
So once we switched cars, he went out the back of the car, took the plate off. So he has his legit plate on, and he went his separate way.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you just go back later, whenever, and get the actual car with the real plates.
No, he had his car.
Yeah.
The car we were in.
Oh, and then he drove
He had
off.
fake plates on the car, but it was Velcroed to his regular plate.
Okay.
So once we got away from the scene, we got out calmly. Vinny and I, we had the pistols. He had the shotgun. I had the pistol. We went to Bruno's car. We left one way. Anthony Donato, when he got out, he pulled the plate off, went back in his car, and he took off.
Got it. Okay. And then you had your routes planned to get out of the neighborhood?
Yeah, well, we knew the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Vinny told him nothing was planned. Vinny just said, make a turn here, make a turn there. Anthony knew which way to go, and everybody said, coast is clear, nobody's following. So we knew we got away from that area.
Okay, so and how many times did you shoot him?
I fired all 5 shots. I hit him with 1 shot. The rest went high. It was more the adrenaline, and like I said, I just came home from jail. I had 357 snub nose. So it was like, it just went, the trigger was quick trigger, hairpin trigger. And Vinny had the shotgun. So Vinny blasted him with the shotgun as well. And when the guy was lying down, the last shot, Vinny had it up, shotgun, guys on the floor, and put one last pump into him. That when the shotgun recoiled, it hit Vinny in the chin.
Wow.
And he wound up having a big bruise there afterwards. But it was lights out. The guy was walking a Doberman too. And the first shot, I was the one fired first. The dog just took off. That Bruno said the dog ran past his car where he was parked.
So you knew you'd got him? You knew he was gone?
Yeah. No, he was gone. He was on the floor, and the last shot, you saw his whole body jump up from the shotgun shell, the impact.
So what was the aftermath of that after you guys got away with it?
When we went away, we went to Vinny's girlfriend's house afterwards, and they were congratulating me. You did your first piece of work. Congratulations. They were happy. I'm like, this wasn't my first piece. Remember? I was away for murder. They laughed, joked around.
And do you put the vinegar underneath the fingernails?
No,
you didn't take that kind of precautions. You want to get rid of the gunshot residue?
No.
Okay, but
there was none of that.
Okay. So then what happens? Now you just
Vinny just said never gets mentioned.
Yeah.
This never happened. And again, if Joe Messino ever asks, wasn't us. We had nothing to do with it.
Okay, so but what grew out of that? So now you're really like with the Bananos, or you at least like got their respect.
Technically, I'm still with the Genovese, and that's where the kicker came in.
Okay.
Vinny went to go speak to Ernie to release me. And Vinny indicated now, he did something with us, so, he belongs here. So Ernie said, let me talk to Dominick first before I give you my decision. So I met with Ernie. He's like, listen, love Vinny, great guy. I think he's great for you. He says, I'm settled in right now. I don't do much. I love you as a son. If I want to, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here. But I wouldn't do that to you. I want to see you prosper and come up. So I'm going to release you over there. Is that what you want? So I said, yes, that's what I want. And he said, if you ever, I don't care who it's with, any problem, you come let me know.
Wow.
You come let me know. You're my son. Wow. You let me know.
Whatever happened to Ernie? What was his your mentor?
He's still there. He's
still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Did he ever do time?
He did time. He actually went away after I cooperated. He did time with my father. They were in Fort Dix, New Jersey. And word got back to me, not only from my father, but from people actually a few months ago. A guy told me when Ernie was there, he was sick, that I cooperated. He's like, what did these guys do to this kid? And he told me, I don't want to hear anything from anybody about Dominick. Like I don't want to hear it.
How did that make you feel?
Made me feel good that, he loves me. He knew. And the sad,
but do you feel like you let him down though? This man who loved you and you ended up flipping.
I'm sure I let him down. I let a lot of people down, but at the end of the day, loyalty works both ways. And I'm going to go back to the night we killed Frank Santoro. Vinnie said, if Joe Messino asks, don't say anything. You know what Vinnie did about 3 weeks afterwards when he saw Joe Messino? Joe, we killed Frank Santoro. Me, Dominick, and Bruno. Why would you tell him that? And this is what, again, got Vinnie in trouble. His big mouth.
His mouth. Remember,
we're from the Bronx. When Joe Messino got arrested, Sal Vitale, there was about 12 people that cooperated. His whole administration ratted on him. Everybody was from Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Nobody was from the Bronx. Nobody knew us.
Right.
Nobody knew what we did. So Vinnie, if Vinnie keeps his mouth shut, we never get arrested.
Wow.
They don't know. So when you go back, loyalty works is a two-way street.
Yeah.
I saw the handwriting on the wall when we were getting ready to fight our case. Vinnie wanted me to testify in our behalf. Me take the witness stand. Not as a rat, as a made member, because he said being part of Cosa Nostra is not illegal. Being part of the Mafia is not illegal. What's illegal is committing criminal acts. So you could take the stand, tell them you're a captain, tell them this, tell them that. So I'm like, Vinnie, if I do that, everybody's going to look at me as if I'm a rat. What happened to the Code of Omerta? Nothing never gets said. You can't have, we have to change with our times. I was with Quiet Dom, who was at one time the acting boss of the Genovese crime family. That year I was with him in jail. He was sick the way they were treating me. They took close to $10 million from me in the streets. Everybody's like vultures. I wasn't even convicted. And they took all my guys from me within the first few weeks. They broke my crew up.
Who?
Michael knows, Mancuso.
Wow.
The boss.
Oh, right. The new boss of the
He
Bananos.
dismantled my whole entire crew. So I'm like, Vinnie, that's supposed to be my support level.
Right. That's how I eat. That's how I earn.
And Quiet Dom turned around and said, it's a disgrace what they did to you. If Vinnie he said, Dom, I love you. But if Vinnie comes to this institution or when I see him, I'm not acknowledging him. He can't speak to me. He said, no disrespect to you. I'm letting you know this so you're aware. So I wouldn't do it behind your back. It's not an insult to you. I love you. What they did to you is an effing disgrace. And it's a shame. I'm embarrassed. That's what he said. And he's with the Genovese family. I'm embarrassed for what they did. So Big Ernie knew this. Everybody knew this in the Bronx.
Right.
And loyalty is a two-way street. It's crazy. I'm in here because of the crime family, because of people's big mouths who should know better.
Yeah.
Listen, Vinnie has over a dozen bodies under his belt. Why didn't you talk about the murders that you did without me, Vinnie?
Right.
Like,
sounds like maybe he was jealous or threatened by you.
A lot of people said that, but I don't want to believe that. Until this day, as weird as it sounds, I still care for the guy. We were that close.
Wow.
But again, it was just self-preservation. Loyalty works two ways. I wasn't given loyalty. I saw the handwriting on the wall, and I'm out. I'm done. I'm tired of it. And this is the first time in my adult life. I'm home. It's going on 11 years. I don't even have a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
First time in my life I haven't did anything illegal. Wow. And I'm proud of myself. Yeah. It's taken a lot. I've backed down from fights. People that my wife was shocked. Calling me out. One attorney who said, calling me out, coming at me. I'm like, back up, please. Act like an attorney. You're an attorney. Don't act like a thug. Yeah. Don't act like a thug. I don't want to fight you. And I walked away from it. And, things like that, I'm proud of myself.
What do you think it was? You think it was age, growing up?
It's just I'm tired. When I do something, I go all out. I'm a perfectionist. So figured after I cooperated, I'm not going to be another statistic or a knucklehead or an idiot where I cooperate and I go back to jail for life is too short. So I made my choice to turn my life around and I'm dedicated with it. And I'm just focused on building a brand, building things, companies, and that's it. Right now, I'm fortunate enough. I don't have to work another day in my life.
Well, you've been building companies, since you were, since you became a made guy.
With illegal activities behind me.
Right. So was that when you started to, invest in restaurants and construction companies and all this stuff, was that all funded with illegal money, or did you start those companies organically?
I started them, most of them organically. My grandmother lent me money. She took a loan on her house.
Wow.
That was another thing. She took a loan on her house. I was paying her mortgage, the taxes. I'm like, Graham, just collect the rent. Don't worry about it. Then I get locked up and all of a sudden nobody's paying the mortgage. I mean, it was ridiculous. So of course, I'm the bad one. I robbed my grandmother, they put out there, that I stole from her. I forged documents, the mortgage. But for 3 years that I had the loan, I didn't rob her when I was out there. So, right away, my aunt asked her, hey, what happened here? I don't know. She got nervous. So my aunt right away, they go to the newspapers after I cooperated too, afterwards, that I stole from my grandmother. I forged documents and the loan and just a whole bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, it got really messy.
It really bothered me. But while I was away, my grandmother came and seen me, sent me money while I was in jail.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is somebody who robs somebody?
So you get released by Ernie, your mentor. Yes. Which is fascinating that was still a practice in the life, is that you can't just put a youngster under your wing without, if he's under the wing of somebody else. So, and I
mean, we're talking about maybe 15 years prior that he stuck up when I was a kid. Yeah. So till now, you're always around them. Once they speak up for you, you're with that person.
Right. But now you're spoken for by the Bananos.
Correct. So how release me to Vinnie.
Got it. And those guys are really active. That's where
Vinnie
you want
was
to go.
Active. Vinnie was just knock around in the streets. And
so then bring us up to how you get made. Like to take us to where you're building up and you finally, get made and eventually become captain. How did all that happen?
It's funny because sometime in 2001, Vinnie proposed me to get straightened out. The end of 2001. And Michael Mancuso brought up the fact that I just came home from jail for selling drugs. They just had a commission meeting, I think back in 2000, Joe Messino, where they put into law, that anybody coming home from a narcotics bid, they have to wait 5 years before they could get straightened out. So Michael brought to Joe that to his attention. So Vinnie told me, listen, you're going to have to wait. I said, Vinnie, I don't even want it. Well, don't worry, I'll get you in before the 5 years. I said, it's disgusting. I don't even want to hear it anymore because organized crime is about criminals doing illegal activities. So you're punishing me for doing illegal activities. I said, it's a joke. I don't want it. I have you and Bruno. So then years later, back in 2003, 2004, Vinnie proposed me again, put me into life. He got me in before the 5 years. And when he asked me, I said, I don't want it. I don't need it. I have you and Bruno. I want you, please, for me. Because God forbid I get arrested. I need somebody I could trust out here handling my affairs because you won't be able to sit down. I said, Vinnie, don't worry. I don't need it. Nobody's going to take anything.
And what are you doing at this point to earn with Vinnie and Bruno?
Oh, well, Bruno always did his own thing. So it's basically Vinnie and myself. I had construction, real estate office, with an auto repair shop. We had the sports book. We just opened up a bar lounge. So I had a lot of different incomes coming.
What was your construction? Tell us about that.
Construction, we would build 2-3 family homes, 8 family units. I had about 4 or 5 different construction entities. And then with that, with the real estate office, we did titles, mortgages, insurance through the Van Zandt agency. So I made money off of that as well. Money was coming in from all angles. Legit money. So it was just your sports book that was the street money. Was the street money. Okay. And then, like Vinnie had at one time back when I first was around them in the early 2000s, ecstasy. He had got him from Canada with the weed and everything. And I had maybe about 100,000 ecstasy pills. That I had a connection with the Albanians, that I was giving it to the Albanians.
Really?
With Vinnie and Bruno couldn't sell them. I took it, I sold it. So to me, it was all profit, like we were making.
Oh, wow.
So whatever, if I got $7-8 a pill, we were splitting it 3 ways, me, Vinnie, and Bruno.
Oh, wow.
So that helped me come up too.
Yeah. So now you got your bank, now your things are rocking.
Yeah, I was rocking and rolling.
So you didn't really need to be in the mafia. You didn't really need to be a made guy.
No, to me, it wasn't. People walk around when they get made with their chest puffed out. That wasn't me. Because Vinnie even asked me after I got straightened out, how do you feel? I said, Vinnie, I feel the same. I'm still the same Dominick. Like a button, because people walk around with their chest out knowing everybody in the neighborhood knows, so you can't touch me. I wasn't like that. That it also happened, I would get into an argument with somebody, regular guy, social civilian, we'd call him, and they give me a look, like, yeah, shaking their head, like, yeah, okay, only if, like, they give me that wise ass response, only if. You know what? Forget about who I am. I'm on your level right now. Let's go outside. And they'd be like, no. Let's go outside. One-on-one outside. That's it. I'm on your level. I have nothing. Once I say something like that in front of people and I go outside and I get my ass kicked, that's it. I can't do anything. Can't retaliate. But that's the way I was. And no, Dom, I'm sorry. You're damn right you're sorry. Because don't think I don't hide behind anything in life. Let's do it.
Right.
That's the reason why I didn't take the witness protection program.
Right.
I don't hide.
So, but I guess when you are made, you can avoid some of those problems because people, at least in the life, know that they can't put a hand on you. So you can avoid, loudmouths and people trying to prove themselves.
But even when I wasn't made, people in the life who were made would never dare put their hand on me so they know I would go. You put your hand on me, and there's a lot of people. Michael Knows did it to people. They know who he is. He cracks them. He smacks them. They're not made. They stand there and accept it, thinking I could get killed if I put my hands on them. I wasn't like that. I'm a man. You're not. We'll go to a sit down. If I get killed, I get killed. But what boss is going to go against that? He smacked me. What type of man would I be? So I become a punk, as we would say in the streets. So I'm a punk. I'm a mutt. If he hits me and I don't do anything, what gave him the right to hit me? Now, if he had a reason that I did something to his daughter, I went with his wife, and he put his hands on me, and I hit him, I'm going to get killed all day long. But if I didn't do anything because we go back and forth with something, an argument, and he puts his hands on me, no, I win that all day long.
So you accept when Vinnie proposes you relinquish, you say, okay.
And then I accepted.
So tell us about this. Did you go through the prick in the finger?
I went through the prick in the finger.
Okay, tell us through this whole, I'm fascinated. I don't know if they do this now, but yeah, tell us what that was like.
Listen, when they pricked my finger, they actually cut my finger. I needed 4 stitches. There's the scar. Now I'm joking. But no, they pricked the finger, the blood on the saint. We didn't burn a saint in my hand.
Where was it?
It was done at Anthony Donato's house in Westchester. There was about 4 of us that got straightened out there that evening.
Okay. Are there witnesses there?
No, just the family.
That's what I mean. Like
Yes.
other members there.
At that time, Tony Green, Anthony Urso was the boss. Joe Camerano Sr. was the underboss / consigliere. Vinnie Basciano was there. He was a captain. Patty DiFilippo was there. He sponsored somebody. He was a captain. And I think I want to say Nicky Santoro was there. He was an acting captain, and Anthony Rubito was there. He was a captain. So Nicky was acting for Anthony Rubito. They sponsored somebody as well. They had the ceremony.
So your sponsors are all there.
Yes,
for
Vinny
each-
was my sponsor.
Right.
But Tony Green and Joe Camerano, remember, Vinny was part of the administration. So every time Vinny went to see them for that year, I was with him all the time. They had conversations in front of me before I was, and I would excuse myself. No, you sit here. They treated me as an equal. So during the ceremony, while they were talking, going over the do's and don'ts, Tony Green turned around and said, there's some people sitting here that already know they've been accepted. He meant for me to give me that compliment.
What are the do's and don'ts that they tell you in a mafia ceremony?
Can't go with another man's wife, or his girlfriend, his main girlfriend. You're not supposed to go with their daughters, unless it's accepted. You ask, it's somebody older. You're not supposed to get involved in stocks, drugs. They don't want people in the stock market.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's all BS. It's all BS.
Yeah.
No drugs. You can't put your hands on another made member. You can't call somebody a rat if they're not a rat. Just do's and don'ts. We're better than everybody else.
That's the do, right?
Everybody's underneath us, all civilians. Whatever this is our new life. This is our new family. This family comes first. Anything that happened in the past is dead with that past life. This is your new life. You're reborn from this day forward into this crime family. This is your family. This is your first loyalty. And our loyalty is to our official boss, Joe Messino, who's currently in jail fighting a case. And if the boss calls for you, you don't tell your captain, you go straight to the boss. And that's it. If the boss tells you you have to kill your best friend, you follow that order. Your loyalty is to that boss. And afterwards, I told Vinny, my loyalty is to you. I could give 2 F's about Joe Messino. I don't know him. I sleep, I eat, I drink with you. You're my brother. My loyalty is with you. No, Bo, your loyalty. Vinny, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm telling you the way it is. My loyalty is with you.
I guess that's why it's so important for a boss to be
in the trenches,
so he can ingratiate himself and make loyal his soldiers, right? Or else, what do you don't even know this guy.
But John, even with that, no matter how much he would ingratiate himself or be around me or I see him, he can never be as close as I am with Vinny. We were inseparable. We were with each other 24/7, literally, all the time. I mean, holidays, events, vacations, everything. We were together so much. Joe Messino sent word out, Vinny, you and Dominick have to split up, because when all I hear is Vinny and Dominick and Vinny and Dom. They're pairing you two together as one. And God forbid one of you gets arrested, you're both going to get arrested. And that's what Joe wanted. But
I had something for you. Hold on. So now you're a soldier. The first step after being made is you're officially that would be your ranking then, is soldier. You don't go straight to captain.
No, actually, it was maybe about a month afterwards. Vinny sent word into Joe Messino because he didn't want to show favoritism. I want to elevate Dominick to my acting captain.
That fast.
Hold
on. As a soldier, though, I just want to, because people are going to want to know this. What do you have to kick up? Because obviously now that you're the hierarchy of the mafia is all the money is taken off the street, either by an associate or by a soldier. or a captain, and then it just moves upstairs through the underboss to the boss. How did that pay structure work?
You're supposed to kick up 10%.
Okay.
I never kicked up a penny. Vinnie and I were partners in everything. And Vinnie's motto was, when Vinnie ran the crime family, he said, all the people doing work, I do not tax.
Yeah.
So all my shooters, the thugs, I'm not taxing them. All the earners, I'm taxing.
Right.
That's their contribution to the crime family.
Right.
My shooters, why am I going to tax a shooter when he puts his life on the line for the family?
Right.
So which was smart. It was
Reasonable.
a good mix.
Right.
The only thing we did have to kick up was war chest money, which was $100 a month each member. It's supposed to go into a kitty, help people for their commissaries that are in jail, help people maybe for their lawyers, or people that want to put money on the streets. It's supposed to be a fund.
It's like union dues.
Basically, yes. That's the only thing I had to kick up.
So you and Vinnie were just business. You and Vinnie were business partners, and it sounds like he's the one that would kick the envelopes up.
He kicked the envelopes up, but it's both about money. You know, it's just, and Vinnie always told me, he said, Christmas time, make sure you take care of Joe. Make sure, because the more money you give him, the less likely you'll ever get killed, because you have regular captains given maybe 5, 10, 15, 20,000 for Christmas. If you're giving 100, 200,000 at Christmas, that boss is not going to look to kill you.
Right.
Because, you know, the money is.
How many, when you first got made, how many soldiers were in the Bananos and how many captains?
I'm straightened out. We might have had on the street maybe about 8, 9 captains.
Wow.
And there had to be close to 180 guys on the street.
Made
guys, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot. And if they're all kicking up 10% every month, the boss is rich.
You're supposed to.
Yeah. Of course.
You know, you have guys that can't rub 2 nickels together.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of brokesters out there.
So there would be soldiers, made guys that weren't making any money.
They're not making money.
Wow.
They're not making money. They can't even send $100 a month.
Oh my God.
There's people I would just put the money in, knowing they can't get out of their own way.
And how do they get made if they're so incompetent?
Listen, there's old timers that were incompetent. Nicky Santoro was another one, just a brokester. It's just, it happens, you know. But what I would do, the guys in my crew that I knew couldn't really, I would try to give them an earn. Here, why don't you do this for me? I would help them out in that sense.
Okay, so you become a captain right away.
I was an acting captain, and Vinnie's thing was, listen, Dominick's been around me for years. He knows my every move, where I could just give a look. He already knows. He knows the life inside and out. He's been with me. So, yes, I accelerated quick. Acting captain. And then maybe about 4 after Tony Green went away, Vinnie took the reins. Vinnie sent word into Joe. I want to bump Dominick up to an official captain. Joe said, okay.
Okay. So now Vinnie's the underboss.
Vinnie was the boss, acting boss.
Okay. Gotcha. Because Joe's away in prison.
Yeah. Tony Green was locked up. He got arrested. Tony Green, Joe Cameron Sr. And that's when Vinnie took over and made me an official. Joe Massio made me official captain.
Got it.
With Vinnie's recommendation.
Now, do you start recruiting, other guys that you see have potential the way that Vinnie did with you? Or because you had, 27 guys under you?
There were some associates I was going to straighten out. Joey Gambini being one of them. Joe Barone being another one. Come to find out, Joe Barone was working with the feds for 20 years.
Wow. Right.
He was an FBI informant.
I've heard of that guy.
And he never set me up.
Oh, wow.
Never set me up.
Could he have if he wanted to?
Easily. He knew my gambling operation. He knew. Listen, I would send people on scores he knew about.
Okay.
He actually came with me. I was looking to hurt Hippie. Hippie's soldier. Now he's a captain in the Genovese crime family. Put a bad wire on me, and I was going to look to hurt him.
Bad wire is what?
He was the one who put the label that I was a rat.
Oh, okay.
When I wasn't.
Gotcha.
So one night, I went to the bar where he hung out, strapped up, 4 or 5 guys, Joe Barone being one of them. all have pistols.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to look to hurt him bad, probably kill him. And he never showed up. And we went back maybe 2 more times, never showed up. But that's just the way I was. I didn't care.
Yeah. And
I wasn't made at that time.
Oh, wow.
But you want to put a label on me, I'm a rat, I'll show you how much of a rat.
So what is as a captain now, are you collecting the envelopes every month and giving them to
Yes,
Vinnie?
they would give me, I would get the money. I would have somebody get it, circulate it. Probably at that time, it was Anthony Aiello, Ace, who was a soldier.
Yeah.
Actually, I straightened him out. I sponsored him.
Okay.
And after he was straightened out, I would have him collect the envelopes, get the monies up from the guys.
And what were some of the rackets that you remember your soldiers really earning well from?
You had people lending money, loan sharking, sports betting, doing the football tickets, all that, just street stuff.
Yeah.
I actually had Ace work in my body shop where I gave him a salary and then a percentage of the business. So he was close with me. And I nicknamed him my Luca Brazzi.
Nice.
Because he loyal.
At this time, is there is the mob still selling drugs? Like, was there any drug dealing in the
Mob
Bananos?
was always doing drugs. Listen, that's a farce. Because when you're giving a boss an envelope, just say back in the Pizza Connection day, I give a boss, here's $100,000 in an envelope a month. They're making millions a month. Here's $100,000. The boss knows it's not coming from sport. He's like, do I need to know where this is coming from? You say no. He knows. Okay, just don't get caught.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going to take the money, and they know $100,000 is not coming from sports betting or loan sharking.
Did the Bananos, when you were captain, did they have somebody that was just delivering envelopes that were way too fat?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
At that time,
But you were out of drugs. You were done with drugs.
At that time, I was out of drugs, but if drugs came by that I could make money, I would make money. And so would Vinnie. Vinnie was selling marijuana when I came around.
Right. Or you had 100,000 ecstasy pills to move or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And that came from Vinnie, from the guy. And it all came from Canada, from Vito Rizzuto.
Right. Yeah, the Rizzutos.
And that's, Vinnie had a close connection with them.
Did you guys do business? I guess that's how the different mafia clans from Canada and America do business, is usually through drugs.
They were Bananos.
Right. That's what they
were
say.
Bananos. That was a faction of the Bananos.
That's what they say. Right.
After Joe Messino and after Vinnie got arrested, that's when they broke off.
Oh, okay.
Because when Vinnie got arrested, we sent Sal the ironworker up there, and he got an envelope for $50,000. For the Bananos, and they were upset that Joe cooperated, got Vito arrested, but they still gave the money for Christmas.
Wow.
But after Vinnie's tenure and Michael took over, severed, that's when they went on their own.
Yeah. And they can be way more active up there. Oh, definitely. Because there's no RICO.
Exactly.
So they can go crazy up there. If
they're more old school. They're more traditional, the way the mafia should be ran.
Yeah. Right. The Canadians of all people. How crazy is that? So, so things are going well. What do you think you're taking off the street as a captain? All your soldiers every month. What do you think they're passing on to you?
Just whatever they earn. There's 5,000 here, 2,000 there, 1,500, 500. It's just here, and I just pass it on. Yeah, I didn't need it. I was doing well.
Yeah.
Like within the 5 years, I accumulated, I would say net, I had between $8 to $10 million.
Yeah. To your pocket.
In my pocket. Yeah. Legit. But it was all into properties, real estate.
Yeah.
I wasn't cash. Especially when the feds got me. I had maybe 30, 40,000 out there in my pocket cash.
Right.
The rest was all into real estate. And then everybody just started plucking me.
So you were real estate rich. Or did you... Yeah. Where did you, now that you're a captain, where'd you live? I lived in the Bronx.
You still in the neighborhood? I was actually building a house on Robinson Avenue in the Frog's Neck section.
Okay.
4 floors. I had the lots right there. So
did you have a family?
Yeah. I was actually, Another thing was my daughter's mother. Vinnie was looking to kill her. Listen, we got, I wouldn't say an argument, but he saw I was serious after he joked around 5 or 6 times. I'm like, Vinnie, it's not happening. You can forget about it.
Oh, he was like trying to hook up with your daughter.
No, he was trying to kill the mother because his wife found out about his girlfriend. He had a kid with his girlfriend. So supposedly she said my daughter's mother told her. So right away, Vinny's like, I'm killing her. I'm killing her. I'm like, Vinny, you can't. My daughter. I can't do that to my daughter. I can't do that to my daughter. And then after I cooperated, I found out he even asked Joe Messino for permission to kill her. He was going to do it behind my back.
Wow. Wow.
So, and I didn't even know that. People were like,
Did anybody come to you while you were captain? Were there any bodies from like people in your crew committing any murders that you knew about?
Well, the only murder was with the last one with Randy Pizzolo.
All right.
Where I passed it on to Ace and Ace took care of it.
Okay. So tell us about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Randy was originally with, I think Jerry Asaro. Long and short, I inherited Randy. I gave him the riot. Actually, Randy was with Johnny Palazzola. Johnny would have him run around wild like an Indian, doing stupid things like a Vinnie Asaro. Just a wild man.
Yeah.
I didn't tolerate it. So when I got him, I read him the riot act. We don't conduct ourselves like buffoons. You're going to be a gentleman. And again, it's not who yells the loudest that counts. And if you have any issues with me, you could forget it. You and I could go one-on-one anytime you want. No, Dom, I heard a lot about you. Long and short of it all, he started messing up, belligerent with people. When he drank, he did coke. He became stupid, arrogant with his mouth and everything. And then he pissed Vinny off one too many times. I saved him. Vinny said, keep him away from me. I did. And then it just came out again. The kid was uncontrollable. And Vinny said, that's it. He's going. And that was it. He had to go. So even after Vinny got arrested, I was going to save him. I said, okay, good. He got arrested. Michael Knowles reiterated that. Said, listen, that thing with this kid, make sure he goes. We'll take care of it. However he said it. So I'm like, oh, shoot. Like,
why were you worried? Why did that bother you?
That bothered me because, number one, I didn't want to do it. Now I had to do it, that Vinny was here. And it was just another person that knew about it. But it wasn't Michael Knowles that wound up talking about it. It was Vinny. Told Joe Messino, Dominick killed him.
But you passed that on, did you not?
Even though Vinny didn't know that.
Okay.
So I passed it on because I knew I'd be the prime suspect.
Right.
So let me have an alibi, which I did. And I passed it on to Ace.
Who's Ace?
Anthony Aiello.
Okay. So he was a guy he was a soldier?
He was a soldier. He was under me.
And he couldn't say no. You're giving him an order.
That's it.
Okay.
I asked him, are you okay with it? Do you need me? He's like, Dom, I have this.
Okay.
So I set it up where it's comfortable. Like I said, it's easy to kill somebody, especially when you're luring them in. They don't know they're getting killed.
Yeah.
Randy, do me a favor. You have to meet Ace tonight.
Right.
Go meet him. I need you guys to take care of something. And then afterwards, Randy, here's what I told him. Afterwards, tell your girlfriend that you're hanging out with me. You meet me in the city later tonight. So that's what I did. Oh. So I figured if the feds find out, they're going to think I made an alibi. Right. Well, why would I make an alibi and tell them to come meet me?
Right.
So
yeah. So you're setting yourself up to intentionally be away from it.
If I hear you're saying I created an alibi, but I'm making myself the prime suspect because he's telling his wife he's meeting Dominick.
Yeah. Right. So you have some plausible deniability.
Yes.
So is that what you did? You sent him to his death.
Yes.
And how did that hit go down?
They met in Greenpoint, Brooklyn at the meeting spot. When he got out of the car, he said, all right, Ace, where do we have to go? And Ace just pushed him and fired some shots into his chest. And then
do you leave him there?
Left him there. And they found him the next morning. His BMW was still running. with the lights on, and he was down, face down in muck, I guess. It was cold. It was, I think, when was it? In November.
What year?
Of 2004.
Did Ace ever get caught for that?
We got arrested because of Vinnie's big mouth.
Okay, but nobody ever got pinched for evidence.
He didn't get caught until Vinnie told Joe Messino. They came down, they arrested me. Ace went on the run. They wound up arresting Ace. And then a year later, that's when I decided to cooperate.
What year was that?
That was in 2006.
Okay.
And we broke the straw to the camel's back. The year before that Christmas, when I was on the street, I collected about $360,000 from my guys. I gave it all to Vinnie and Joe Messino. That Louis Electric, who was a captain in the crime family, he said, Dom, what are you doing? I said, nah, give it to them. It's Christmas time. I'll make it up during the year. I'll take what I have to take. So he said, all right, good point. Because I wanted to show them, like, it's not about the money with me. So I had money. And the year I got locked up, Michael Knows sent $3,500 to my girlfriend. That was it. I had $360,000. Even if he didn't get 360, I would have got maybe 200,000. I'm not there. You sent $3,500 to my girlfriend.
Disrespect.
And they robbed everything. My body shop, they ran it in the ground, $1.5 million in debt.
Wow.
I mean, it was just disgusting, everything they did.
Yeah.
So,
and those were your people. Those are supposed to be your people.
When Vinnie got locked up, I'm second in command in the crime family. It's Michael and then me. And Michael and I were going at it. So Michael just was always jealous and envious of me. And it came to the point where I asked Vinnie, I said, listen, I feel like a sitting duck out here with Michael. And Vinnie sent word back, do what you have to do. So Michael was getting killed in February of 2005 for Valentine's Day. I was going to kill him.
Wow.
Had it planned and everything. Had the van. We were getting a van. Wow. Had the shooters, myself included.
Yeah.
And I was going to leave him in the street.
Wow.
It was debatable. I was going to put him in the van at first and then take him. And then I thought about it. I said, I'm going to probably leave him right on the step. Because what happened was Michael's girlfriend used to be Joey Lebrano's, who's a soldier in the Lucchese crime family. Joey Lebrano went away for drugs. Was married to a girl, Charisse. Michael Knows went with her. So by rights, Joey Lebrano, when he came home, he could have killed Michael. So by me leaving him by her house, they're going to think Joey Lebrano finally made his move. So that was the reason why I rethought it, and I was going to leave him on the stoop.
Yeah. So what happened? Why didn't it go down?
I got arrested in January.
Oh, that's right.
Feds came.
That's right.
So the feds basically saved his life. They don't arrest me, he's gone.
Yeah.
1,000% he's gone.
So what were you looking at? You were facing life?
Death penalty.
Yeah.
They had the death penalty on me.
Oh, is there a federal death penalty?
Yes, there is. Now,
they don't usually use it.
How are they going to? Now, I'm sure they would use it if an innocent person got killed, a mother, a woman, a priest, somebody innocent. But when you kill another mobster, come on, they're not going to. No jury's going to convict you of the death penalty when they know it's another gangster that got killed, another criminal, basically. So,
and what are your lawyers telling you? Like it's looking bad? Like you're not going to be able to fight it?
No.
Or did you have action on your case?
I had action on the case. I had Jeffrey Littman was one of the lawyers, top lawyer, and Vinnie wanted me to testify, and Jeffrey's like, hell no. Dominick's not testifying for anything. Wow. Dominick's not going to say anything. He had to have nothing on Dominick. And Vinnie actually had me fire Jeffrey for that reason. Jeffrey refunded some of the money back. And Jeffrey was in an interview prior to all this. When I cooperated, one of the lawyers, Vinnie basically told him in the visiting room, you're paying Dominick back. You're going to give him his money back. So when I cooperated, and I didn't look at it as a threat, which Jeffrey wound up giving some of the money to one of the other lawyers. Jeffrey, the government, and I found this out maybe a few years ago, when I cooperated, the lawyer who was representing me walked me in, told the government, oh, and don't forget to tell the government Vinnie threatened Jeffrey Littman. I says, he ain't threatened him. So the prosecutor said, let me determine that, what happened. So I told him. I didn't think of it as a threat. So they put Jeffrey in the mix somehow, that Jeffrey thought I told. I said, so when I finally spoke to Jeffrey after he did an interview, so I'm like, Jeffrey, why would you do an interview like that saying I couldn't pay you, saying this, that, the other, like making me look stupid? So he says, Dom, why would you tell the government and put me in the mix? I said, Jeffrey, I never told the government that. The lawyer told them. I didn't look at it as a threat. He said, oh, I apologize. Put me on the show anytime. I'll clarify it. I'm like, no, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But Jeffrey told Vinnie, they have nothing on Dominick. I'll beat this case all day long.
Wow.
And Vinnie didn't like that.
So you listened to Vinnie.
I had to. It's my boss.
Wow. So even when you guys are locked up,
He's my boss.
it's okay. Wow.
He was my boss.
So you're a loyal guy.
I almost went to blows with Vinnie in the visiting room. Blows. All the lawyers ran out of the legal room.
Wow.
Because we almost went at it.
So you're loyal almost until the end. Who did you, well, tell us the moment that you said, nah, I quit.
When my girl told me they sent her $3,500, I called my lawyer up, my death penalty lawyer, called the government, tell them I want to cooperate. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
So who did you give up, or who did you proffer against?
Everybody. Joe Messino, because even though he was cooperating, he's the one that set it up with the prosecutor. Vinnie, Michael, told them everything. Told them everything.
Did you have to give up like your underlings, like people on the
Everybody I
street?
committed crimes with, all my crimes, because this is your time where you get immunity.
Right.
So I wasn't going to be a statistic like Frank Salemi. He was the boss out of Boston at one time.
Okay.
He didn't tell the government about a murder with his son. His son had passed away.
Right.
It came back and they took him out of the witness protection program, charged him, gave him life.
Wow. Yeah.
I knew if I leave something out, they're going to, I don't want anything to bite me in the butt. So if I do something, I'll do it right. And I told them what I had to tell them.
So, wow. So you told them about three murders. 1, 2, 3. 2 that you were involved in, 1 that you passed on.
Yes.
All the criminal activity.
All my criminal activities, everything. And they deciphered, who was getting arrested, who wasn't.
Yeah, it's weird because everybody's telling on everybody at this point. Like Joe is telling on.
Well, there wasn't anybody out of the Bronx. That was the key. The Bronx, I'm basically, and I said it on my podcast, that out of the Bronx, I'm basically the only high-ranking member of organized crime that cooperated. Yeah. All these guys in Queens, Brooklyn, they don't know the Bronx. The particulars of the Bronx.
Yeah.
So
what was the conclusion of that? How much time did they give you?
I wound up getting sentenced to 10 years, 1,000 hours community service, and my restitution was for the funeral expenses, $24,000. I was like, why do I have to pay for the funeral expenses when we were the ones that paid for it to begin with? But
So you paid for the funerals of the guys you killed?
No, the last guy, Randy Pizzola.
Oh, right.
And then 5 years supervised release. Yeah. So I completed everything.
When'd you get? So you came home and
I came home in 2013.
Okay. Wow.
I was released.
So you served a total of what, 20 years of your life in prison? Just
Close
about
to 20 years. Yeah.
Wow. 20 years for
4
bodies. Not bad. I got to say, not too bad.
Well, like I told the government, And this was funny because I'm telling Greg Andres, so I wanted bail. I said, listen, I did 10 years for a crime I didn't commit.
Mm-hmm.
He says, that's okay. What about all the crimes you got away with? I said, touche,
Right.
you got that
It
one.
all kind of evens out.
It evens out.
But, we were talking earlier about, it's like, hey, when other criminals are the ones getting killed, they don't make such a stink about it. And this is kind of proof that the government agrees with that. You can kill as many wise guys as you want, like Sammy, like you. As long as you tell us everything, we'll make sure that you're not going to die in prison.
Right.
It goes to show, like, they don't really care about gangsters that much.
You know what? And the funny part of it all, to Greg Andres, it wasn't personal. It was business. He offered Vinnie.
Who was that? I'm sorry?
Greg Andres.
That was the U.S. attorney?
Yes. He became the acting assistant attorney general afterwards. But he offered Vinnie a plea deal before I cooperated. 2 cases. So the Frank Santoro murder, Randy Pizzolo murder, 27 years, 17 and 10. Everybody knows, and I'm sure you know, if you're pleading guilty on their first offer, worst case scenario, okay, he has the 27 years. They're going to run it together.
Yeah.
So even though it's 27 years, you're basically doing the highest sentence, the 17. He's out within 15 years tops. Vinnie would have been home 5 years ago.
Wow. So he didn't
want to take the plea.
Wow.
I'm like, Vinnie, take the plea, wrap it up for everybody.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do. And at the time, Barry Levin was his lawyer. Barry's telling him, Vinnie, listen to Dominick. This is their first offer.
Yeah.
Okay, keep the 27. Maybe they'll break it down to 15 and 12.
Yeah.
And they'll definitely run it together.
Yeah.
You'll be home. Give them their pound of flesh. Vinnie wouldn't do it.
Wow. So he took it to trial. Blue trial, I assume.
Blue trial.
They gave him life.
He has 2 life sentences.
And there's no.
He's back in court.
Okay.
So for trying to get the case overturned because Joe Massino wore the wire and was working with the government. And they put Joe Massino on the same indictment as Vinnie.
Okay.
Which I feel that's entrapment. Because Joe's already, once you cooperate, and especially they're in a jail environment, how could you put them on the same indictment? Have co-defendant meetings. That's a spy in the camp.
Right.
The enemy camp.
It's a tough one to, entrapment's the impossible one to prove.
But he should get relief. But at the end of the day, I killed people with him. So how can,
What about Joe? What happened to Joe Massino?
Joe wound up dying, I think last year.
Did he get out though?
Joe got out.
Okay.
He was out. He died.
Yeah.
He wound up dying last year.
Yeah. Did he die with money? Like,
No, he has money.
He was one of those rich bosses.
He was a boss forever.
Yeah.
He actually gave them, I think on his $8 million, it was $7 million in gold bullion.
Wow.
He took it out of his attic. They took some of his property.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to get mad at a guy like that, even though he ratted, because he's so smart and he's just playing everything like a chess move.
He even played the government.
Yeah.
Played the government. Told him I have somebody that Vinnie wants to kill the prosecutor. And he was the one that orchestrated it.
Yeah.
He was the one that initiated it.
Well, look, we're going to talk more, but let's go ahead and do plugs right now. This was an honor to have you. I mean, you can't even believe how thrilled we are. Let's talk about it. You've since in your 11 years home, you become a fully legit businessman. This is one of the ventures, EG Vodka, right?
Yes.
Where can they get it?
They could go online. We're licensed to distribute, or the liquor store that handles it is licensed in, I think, 42 or 44 states.
Okay.
Just go to egvodka.com.
Okay.
It comes up, you order it. And if you order 6 bottles or more, put the promo code FLUFF. I pay for shipping.
Cool.
And shipping's only $14.99 for 6 bottles or more. I'll pay for that. And you're getting the vodka's 100% organic, gluten-free, premium vodka at a discounted price. Excellent. Listen, I'm a vodka drinker. And the reason why I bought into the company. It's that I've never had vodka this good in my life.
Yeah.
It is that good, clean. It's just unbelievable.
I'm not even a drinker, but like a big drinker. I'm going to go home and make a drink tonight with this.
And there's no aftertaste. I mean, it's that smooth.
Okay. And it's from my hometown of Portland, Oregon. This is where the company is headquartered. So go check it out. EG Vodka, Organic American. And then of course, like your book, you got a book that's coming out. So I want people to pay attention to this. Where can they get the pre-orders?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're doing pre-orders. The book should be out in by the end of the summer. It's called The Perfect Crime Family. They could go to theperfectcrimefamily.com. We're doing a limited edition, 250 copies. We're going to have a package with that edition where it's hand signed. I'll specifically autograph it to the audience. It's called The Perfect Crime Family in memory of Dominick Quiet Dom Cirillo, the acting boss of the Genovese crime family. And it's really a good read.
I can't
It's
wait.
about 420 pages.
Wow.
And I wrote this book a while ago, and it's really, I think even my daughter read it and she's like, and she's not into the Mafia. And she's like, Dad, I couldn't put the book down. It's a good read.
I can't wait to read
It's a
it.
good read. But we're doing pre-orders and sign up because 250 limited edition. It's going to be a nice package put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course you got a podcast. Where can they find
the
that?
podcast, mafiaroundtable.com.
Cool.
Or Mafia Roundtable on YouTube.
Yep.
Go there. We come out once a week. I do lives and
Hell yeah.
we have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of things coming out.
Of course.
But,
Yeah. And I want to talk about that on the Patreon. Like, you are such a businessman. I love talking to guys I love multiple streams of income. And that's what the Mafia is the best at, whether legal or illegal.
Right.
Wise guys got at least 8 streams of income.
You have to. You need the verticals.
Yeah.
You need verticals in life to make money and to be successful.
Yeah.
And Tyler Perry said it best. If people don't laugh at your dreams aren't big enough. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a dreamer. I'm a go-getter. And listen, when I came home, the government gave me $25,000. My mother gave me $25,000. My wife borrowed $50,000. And that was 11 years ago. And right now I'm in a position in my life, knock on wood, I could retire if I want. But I'm not lazy. I love it. I love it. It keeps me going. It keeps me energetic, focused, especially with the vodka company, with the book. We're sitting down talking about movies, doing movies, a series. So we have a lot of things going for us.
So you made it, man. You made it without the streets, without the mob.
Without the streets, it's just hard work, being dedicated. And don't think no matter how low you are in life, how down and out you are, no matter how many times you fall, keep on picking yourself up. Believe in yourself. When people are laughing, that gives me more fuel. When people say I can't do it, no, I can do it. Who's to say I can't? People that fail in life and stay down, those are failures. Those are people that don't believe in themselves. I keep on picking myself up, and every time I pick myself up, I become stronger and better and wiser and smarter. And that's all you have to do in life.
That's how you
and
find
you can
meaning.
achieve it. Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Awesome. Dom, thank you so much, my friend.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I've heard a lot about you, and it's an honor to be on this show. And thank you for accepting me and doing this podcast. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Come back anytime. Thank you, guys. We're switching over to the Patreon. Take care.